Hey everybody, this is Larry the Cable Guy. Check this out. So I'm in my truck driving with my buddy, and we was heading up to the men's warehouse to fart in the suits, and he's listening to his phone, and I said, that sounds like Hermie Sadler. He said, it is Hermie Sadler. He's got a podcast called Leaning Right and Turning Left with Sadler and the Senator. I said, Sadler and the Senator? He said, yeah, that's his good buddy, Virginia State Senator Bill Stanley. I said, well, what in the world? He didn't know this. I said, did you know that Hermie Sadler was voted one of the 50 best looking drivers in NASCAR? He said, I did not know that. I said, because it ain't true. You never know, though. He never takes off his helmet. But I know one thing. This show, Leaning Right, Turning Left, is good. So pull up a chair right there by your phone, get yourself a cold beer, and give a listen right here to this week's episode of Leaning Right, Turning Left with Sadler and the Senator. I'll tell you what, I bet Michael Waltrip's even listening. He's always wanted to do something like that. Oh, Sadler, got another one over on Waltrip. Get her done.
I'm Virginia State Senator Bill Stanley, and I'm leaning right.
And I'm Chris Williams, and obviously I'm not Hermie Sadler, and he's not here. He's not even turning left here.
And I'm Matthew Dillner, and I'm definitely turning right just because there's barbecue to the right of me.
That's right. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Leaning Right and Turning Left with the poor man's Bill France and the Senator. It's a new show. We're trying it out. We're trying to make sure we can,
My friend Michael Gentry told me, he said, you're in Bill France's airplane going to the next race. I said, you're right, a white Tahoe. That's what I can afford.
For ladies and gentlemen that are listening to the podcast, of course, we've got two great people sitting down with us for a little bit of time here. We're in the Franklin County Speedway in Callaway, Virginia, a historic racetrack, fast racetrack. And we got Chris Williams, the director and the owner of the Smart Modified Tour Series, of which we are a part of. We run our two cars with Bobby Labonte and Ryan Newman, and we have the world famous, the undeniably silky smooth.
I thought you were going to go all Bob Dillner on me. And
formerly from
we like
Dale Jr. download. Now, just putting content on Flow Racing that's never been seen before. Matthew Dillner, you're doing a heck of a job, brother. Welcome to the show.
Man, I appreciate it. I feel bad for Bob now because you guys ragged on Bob for 20 minutes.
Brother of Bob Dillner.
You know Senator Bill Stanley.
Oh, yeah, I know. Well, it worries me that he's not picking on me because I thought you pick on the ones you love. So I was kind of worried, but hey, you get my vote either way, brother.
And I appreciate it. You just come up here into Franklin County and vote a number of times.
I'd love
the Democrats
to.
Are doing it.
You can do it. Anybody can vote, right?
Right. Absolutely. Same day voting right here.
Did I say alive or dead? No matter.
So with Bob Dillner, for those that are listening and have listened before, we had a podcast with Chris Williams. We had JB, who I've named a cat after, and we had Bob Dillner, who could not remember my name or would not include me as a part of the race team that we put on the track for the Smart Series. So Chris and I had a phone conversation, and I'm like, man, he couldn't even remember my name. Never said Sadler Stanley Racing, and so he says, all right, we're gonna get him on the show. We're gonna give him crap. And so it was all planned to give him crap, and we gave him a lot of crap. And he looked at us like, what in the hell?
He was about ready to walk off. He was about ready to.
Yeah, he told me, he's like, man, they really picked on me pretty good. At first, I didn't know if it was joking or not.
Hey, but at the end, I was calling him Bobby. We were tight.
Yeah, he's cool, dude, man. I'm proud of him. I'm proud to have him on this tour too. You know. Proud of you for being on this tour, having anybody that's in government that has a racing background, loves the sport, truly passionate about it, and is doing things within the space is good for not just a Smart Tour powered by Pacematic, but it's good for everything in racing.
You're very kind to say that. Racing's always been a passion I got from my father. And so, Chris and I, a long time ago, had a sit-down conversation, and it went on for hours. And when we were trying to create the stock motor auto
that's
racing
no surprise
car,
if it went on for hours.
It did, yeah. But what sucks is
talk the most.
Yeah.
Probably me.
But see, I usually get charged by the hour. I can charge by the hour.
Oh, no.
So I just kept thinking I'm losing $500 here every hour when I talk to him.
I'm going to shut up from now on.
But we decided, especially when Hermie and I were doing our court case, that we really love short track racing. Got him in the car that one time at Radford. He got the bug back, and we decided to make this team because we really wanted to use this as a platform for our rural areas and our.
He fell out of seat and ain't been back.
Well, the old story that we tell in the podcast is Hermie. Remember remember that was the kitty litter race. And it stopped. And it was black flag or red flag.
Yes. God, y'all bring
and he was out there for an hour and a half. And every driver, they're on the backstretch, and we're there at our motor coach, and every driver gets out of the modified except Hermie. And I'm like, Hermie, why didn't you get out? He's like, because I don't think I'll get back in. I won't fit. I said, did you suffer any injuries after the end of the race? And yeah, we had some issues and retired a little bit earlier. And he said, yeah,
Hermie,
2 bruised ribs from getting out of the car.
Come on, Hermie. I just had an offer down there to hop in a modified for a practice at Bowman Gray. And I think I'm going to take it. It's a lifelong dream, a bucket list. But all I know is there's only
Tommy
2.
Neal?
No, I can fit in Tommy Neal's.
I'm trying to figure out what you can fit in.
There's very few cars I can fit in. But here's the cool thing: there's only 2 things that could ever get me to diet. Because I am, folks, listen to this. I am not a small man.
No,
just know that. Only 2 things that get me to diet. That's my kids or a race car.
There you go. So the race car.
It's on.
All right. We have a weight loss challenge here at the.
There's only 2 things that make me broke:
podcast.
My kids or a race car. Oh, we were talking about getting in one. Never mind.
Yeah. If you want to get them on board for the weight loss challenge we have going on right now,
you have a weight loss challenge?
Yes, we do.
Really?
I've lost 27 pounds. Hermie's a +6. And we give money to charity.
Oh boy!
Whoever wins the choice of the winner is
I've got
charity.
until August 12th. I'm told.
Okay.
So I am going a full month.
Can you tell us
misery?
Can you tell us what race car?
No, I can't yet.
Really?
But it's a big guy
during the Bowman,
and he's raced on this tour.
I know who it is.
Yeah.
I know exactly. I can't say.
Yeah.
Because I respect it.
Is this top secret?
Oh yeah.
I mean, not really.
There's only
3 drivers probably that drive a modified anywhere in America.
Yeah, that are that
in
big.
asphalt. That's my size.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm like 6'5" both ways.
That's up and out, right?
So don't they have like an entry in the top through the roof? Can't you go that way?
No.
You don't. No.
Drop you in like one of those horses, that
I need
getting
a
out of
bubble
the
on
Simi
the top
Valley.
so I could see out like Jeffrey the giraffe and the
there you go.
I like to see you
Toys
drive
R Us.
like that. Excellent.
Toys R Us.
That would be something.
I can hear you now. I need my goggles cleaned when I come in.
And gentlemen, let me tell you a little bit what we're doing right here. We're at the Smart Series Sadler Stanley Racing Fan Appreciation Zone, Fan Zone. We're doing this to say thank you to the fans, and a thank you to our great sponsor, both the car sponsor and the tour sponsor, Pace-O-Matic. Great company, Michael Pace, wonderful
awesome
man.
people.
Everybody who works there is wonderful.
Woman right there.
Awesome people, because the fact that they actually have invested into grassroots communities, but also grassroots racing.
Yeah.
So that's where the whole Pace-O-Matic brand thing completely fits in with this tour, because it's growing just like their company.
Yeah.
And it's grassroots just like their company.
Right. And, they love small communities. They love small businesses. And that's what, small businesses depend on fans coming out to these racetracks as well. And so we want to make sure that everybody knows what Pace-O-Matic is, what a skill game is, where they can go find them in the area. And we've got a cornhole competition over there in the corner that if you sink one in the hole, you get a T-shirt, and the T-shirt, of course, educates everybody on Queen of Virginia, which is the skill game here in the Commonwealth of Virginia.
I've heard of that one.
If you see, we got the race car here that's out in front. Also on the shirt, you get a cup, and we show you where you can go and play a skill game.
Well, we're in Franklin County, so I'm sure we can fill up that cup.
With clear liquid.
100%.
I've already had at least one person say that's what they intended, and did they want me to get the cup back from them? And I said, no, I need you to share.
Well, I tell you,
come back with it.
I was just walking through the garage, and this is the first time Newman and Coulter has been here.
Oh, when I pulled,
go ahead.
I pulled up, and I had to drive my truck up, my nephew's truck up this hill down the holler over there and get over here. And I saw Newman, and he hadn't even seen the track yet, and he just looked at me. He was like, "Whoa, what is this?" And I'm like, "You ain't seen nothing yet." I'm like, that ribbon of asphalt, even though it's coming up in places and needs to be repaved soon. That ribbon asphalt is legendary, and it's pure racing. This is a modified racetrack, man, but it's a little archaic besides that. It's an experience.
So I go in.
He went out there pretty fast, though.
Yeah, he did.
Pretty
he was
good.
very fast.
I think he was 4 or 5.
Yeah, and I went in there and I said, "Hey, Newman," I said, "what do you think?" He says, "Man," he said, "you can run anywhere on this racetrack."
Yes.
He said, "I like this place." And I said, "That's what Priest said." And so Coulter walked in, and Coulter said, hey. That's like, what? He said, "Can we run 5 or 6 times here?" He said, "I love it."
Remember Priest? Priest was complaining.
Well, Priest walked.
He was totally complaining to you, and then after practice, he came up to you and he was like, "This is amazing.
This is amazing. Best place I've ran." I mean, everybody, when you get on the racetrack, It is just so driver friendly but fast. It's fun.
Hey, you like legendary stories, right?
I love them when you tell them.
Okay, I'm setting up Chris. He might hit me for this one.
No, go ahead.
But tell us about the guest, the special guest in the tower, No Legs. Tell us about our guest, No Legs.
So I was told this week that
sounds good already.
there may be a snake
there is.
visiting the tower. And so during the driver's meeting a few minutes ago.
And the tower itself is a very archaic building.
It's
the Leaning Tower of Pisa in Franklin County.
It's a two-story log cabin.
I don't know why we ain't through it already.
Two-story log cabin edifice.
Lincoln Logs, you're a Lincoln lawyer in this case, because that's getting ready to happen right here, buddy. So
tell us about No Legs. Have you seen No Legs yet?
I haven't seen him yet, but I've tried to change positions. I wanted to spot for somebody and let them direct. I wanted to do
we should get a fake snake and put it underneath Bob while he's announcing.
He will freak.
He will freak out on air.
It's got to be
during the race.
Can I record it?
Yeah. Langley said this is coming down July 1st.
Really?
Yeah.
Good for Langley, man.
The historic building is gone.
Well, that's okay.
What are they going to do with it?
Should be history.
They're going to add a bigger and more useful tower with a deck on top. So it's more of a party deck. And then they're going to build a spotter stand right beside it.
Whitey Taylor is going to invest money.
I think Langley is. I don't think Whitey's doing anything.
All right. I love Whitey.
Besides breathing
Uncle
air.
Whitey. He's quite a character. I saw him earlier when we got in here, and he's quite a presence. But, look, Matt, you are, of course, one of the stars of Lost Speedways. Worked for Dale Jr. on the Dale Jr. download, one of my favorites. And let me tell you, since you left, it's not the same.
Oh, I still love it, man.
I love it too. I mean, I
listen to it all the time. Those guys at Dirty Mo rock it, dude.
Yeah, but you were still a character that I think was
Thank you.
one of the great reasons why I listened. And but talk a little bit about what you know about the history of Franklin County Speedway, if you know.
Franklin County Speedway, started. I think it was built in '68. It says Franklin County '69 and everything, but I think it was built in '68. But I'm a Yankee, okay, as they would say. I'm a Northerner. Grew up in modified racing in the Northeast. But if you're in modified racing in the Northeast, you know of North Wilkesboro, the modified places, right? North Wilkesboro, Bowman Gray Stadium, Martinsville, Caraway, and you know about this place.
Yep.
And this was the bull ring, of all those places, really. Bowman Gray always, has the glitz and glamour, and everybody knows Bowman Gray. And I announce up there weekly, and it's the greatest place on earth. But this place right here is almost like the hidden treasure of modified racing.
It is.
That so many people in the mainstream ether don't know the history and don't know how significant modified racing is right here at Franklin County.
Oh, yeah. So you think about Billy Hensley, Jimmy Hensley, you think about Paul Rafford, Satch Worley, you think about the who's who, Joe Henry Thurman. You think about all those guys that race up north at, Thompson and Stafford and,
and Northerners come down here.
I can tell you there's so many times that they would run Martinsville on Saturday at 2 o'clock, come right down here at 7 and run Richie Evans, Cook. Matter of fact, our guest tonight that we're, as our legends, Gerald Compton.
No Legs.
No, this is the actual guest.
Okay. Yeah, and we were talking about some of the cool things. They nicknamed him the Rebel. And it would come from Richie and Cook because he done rebel things, moonshine and all the other stuff, and full of who. But at the same time, the cool thing is, and I'll have to say this, Cook, Satch, and Gerald and all them was racing over here, one of those big showcase races, and Gerald said that he had got a pretty big lead and everything was going good. And he said the caution come out, and he said Cook was running him down bad, and it was like 8 laps to go. And he's like, man, what am I going to do? He said, I know he's going to beat me. And he said he'd come down, he gave 1 to go. And Gerald said he turned, and he said, well, man, and he looked over at the flag stand, and he said he looked over there twice real hard, and he looked up in the mirror, and as soon as Jerry looked at the flag stand, he took off. And he got such a big lead, Jerry caught him on the last lap and couldn't pass him, but he snookered him. And after the race, Jerry said, Rebel, you got me. He said, you taught me a lesson. Never look over at the flag stand from the backstretch. So those stories is, what not only legends are made out of, but at the same time, when those guys loved racing with the northern guys because they knew how competitive they were. And back then, the northern guys knew that down here, man, they were pretty stout. There was going to be 5 or 6 cars that was going to bring the mail. Mason's car, Clarence's car, and, Hendricks with Tant and them. I mean, they were going to bring the mail because they raced with them up north all the time. And
there's very few of those guys that would go up north. Like you mentioned the Mitchell car.
Absolutely.
They would venture up north. But, I want to say, and Chris and I know each other very well, and we know each other, but Senator. But what you're doing, even today with having that 00 here, Gerald Compton's car, what you're doing is changing the tide here with it's not just with the sponsors you bring in with Pace-O-Matic and all the other and the great racing you're putting on, but for us people that really care about the sport, the fact that you're actually honoring history. I did the Lost Speedway show. I care about history.
Yes.
But when I grew up, you celebrated, whether it was Wild Bill Slater, or Bugsy Stevens or Fred DeSaro, or anybody. My heroes, Charlie Drzonbeck, whatever. You celebrated your legends. And down here, for some reason, in the South, we've never done a good job at that. I'm sorry. We've done a terrible job at that.
And why is that?
I don't know, and I never understood it. I've never understood it because it's not the way I was raised. The way I was raised is to respect your elders. Right. My family, it was respect your elders. We used to sit in the stands and travel with an old racer named Mousy Kempster. It was a Long Island legend.
Mousy Kempster.
Yeah. Calvin Mousy Kempster.
Figure that name. So you'll hear the phone ring.
You honor your adults.
I got to go to qualifying.
Oh, you got to go qualify?
So
you got 5 minutes.
Back. Well, JB's blowing me.
JB, JB. He gets nervous.
He don't know I'm on the podcast.
That's why we named the cat that we found at Caraway after him. Because the cat was real nervous.
Yeah. Naming a cat after JB is apropos.
He's reminding me I got 9 minutes.
Oh, 9 minutes. Okay. Chris doesn't have a watch, but what you're doing, celebrating some of the people like Gerald here today, celebrating, my friend Dink Weidenhouse, celebrating, Paul Radford, the people that you celebrate here is going to have a lasting impact on the modified community long after you're even gone.
Yeah.
It's going to have a lasting effect.
Well, they meant a lot to me back in the day because I grew up on a racetrack road, which everybody knows. And, I got to go down there in the late 60s and 70s, telling my age, and I love the modifieds. All the rest of them can crank up, and you smell the fuel, but nothing smells, or you can see the sexy, you can hear the sexy in a modified, and the way they raced back in the day, which you knew good and well, it was everything they had to get out of that race car. They wasn't saving anything. And those races, those double headers, instilled in me, and of course you always north versus the south until you got to know the north. Then when you got to know the north, you're like, oh, my God, they're us. They're just in a different part of the world.
They just have a different accent.
Yeah, exactly. And it was just so much fun to learn the stories of Richie tearing down engines and stuff at the Dutch Inn and running the hill at the
blowing
Dutch
out the windows.
Blowing out the windows. And, taking the moonshine, bringing the hearse down here to take all the moonshine back because nobody wanted to check the hearse. And I got to hear all those stories from the Geralds and the Monk Tates and, Satch and all them. And it just, it's just, I love coming up here and, the big battles that Paul and Satch had back in the day, and the Bowman Gray battles, because Bowman Gray, everybody talks about what they want. The North Carolina guys didn't like the Virginia guys. They roughed Satch up after those couple of championships. Satch never went back, just because it's just the way they rode him, and Satch wasn't raised to be run that way. You know what I'm saying? Now Paul's different. Paul would have went down there and wrecked them all back. It's just the way he was raised. You know what I'm saying? So, but I love getting in, hearing the history. I love understanding what these guys meant to the racing community, and they don't, just like tonight, and I'm going to talk about it pre-race. Gerald Compton, people don't know, he's run for everybody down here. William Mason, he won the 350 lapper at Bowman Gray. Remember, they used to run it Thanksgiving and New Year's.
350 laps.
He won around 350 in the 45 in Mason's car. I got the trophy. Gerald gave me the trophy. I got it. Well, not in my house. I sold my house. I got it in storage. And in Satch, not only the championships, he won Martinsville, the big race, small race. Then he would go up north and he won the race of champions.
When he was with Bob Garbarino and that Mystic Missile, and they put like this Southern legend in a race car. And I remember, this when I was, chasing modified races up there, and I was like, wow, they're bringing somebody from the South and putting them in the Mystic Missile. This is an incredible combo. And, Satch was just that class act driver who drove with so much respect for anybody around him. But he always finished races. And like, what a combo that was. That was lethal.
Yeah.
I mean, what a thing, what a sight to see. And really what is important is the two of you bring it back to life at the same time you're putting it back on the track. I mean, I'm so shocked. Well, maybe I'm not shocked, but I'm very surprised and pleasantly surprised how quickly the Smart Series has taken off again. You know, 3 years ago they came in and said, hey,
I'm
this was
huge
dormant.
Surprised because I've been down here craving this, and all there was really left was Bowman Gray Stadium was basically, you know, keeping modifieds kind of alive.
Right.
Okay. And in this region, and wonderfully. And then when Chris came in and I kind of heard rumblings about it, I didn't really know Chris. So I was kind of like, who is this guy? And then I'm like,
Who's this t-shirt
Then I'm like, I know him because he was with Earnhardt and all that stuff, but I don't know him. I don't trust this guy until I actually hung out with him a bunch and realized he's a good dude. And
he doesn't look trustworthy. I mean, you know, look at him.
What?
He's not very trustworthy.
Here's the deal. How many times have you met a person and you've judged them in your life?
None. I'm not allowed to judge.
Well, he's a lawyer.
You're a lawyer. That's right.
He's a lying lawyer. But
wait, we were talking about the legless guys. We're just calling you our legless host.
Yeah. I'm lying. I judge everybody.
I'm sorry.
But I get paid $500
but you know,
an hour
when
to
you
judge.
don't know people and you don't trust them, and it's like, then I realize what he's in this game for. He's not in this game to make it rich.
No.
He's in this game and he's lifting up others.
No, I'm his lawyer, and I know.
So
I know.
Lifting up others, lifting up the competitors, lifting up the sport. And it's easy for me on the outside here. I'm not part of this series, really. But for me, from the outside, to be incredibly thankful to be a part of it.
Yeah, great. And it's just amazing.
I got to qualify.
Go qualify, brother.
I may be back if you're not done.
See,
or
when you pay him a compliment, he runs.
You'll see the ambulance in the tower.
Hey, now that he's leaving, Senator, we could talk all what we really want about him.
Exactly.
And
he's leaving his barbecue. He's leaving his barbecue.
Oh, there you go. Then you're all right. So Dillner, tell me. I mean, you've had quite an evolution from race car driver yourself. You've gotten into the media. Well, you still raced. You know, you and your brother have gotten into the media side. I call him the Charles Kuralt of short tracks. I mean, he really is. He tells such a great story on short track life. Yep. You know, I wanted to learn more about him, and at the same time, I gave him grief in that episode before, and we did that on purpose, and he took it pretty well. But man, I mean, what content he loads on there. But both of you have really turned a passion into storytelling, and so how have you gotten to this point where you're now at Flow Racing, you're directing a lot of content, you're bringing a lot of attention to a very important series and a very, very important thing in America. How'd you get there, man?
It's not fake. That's the key. You know, just like, you know, you're in politics.
Yes.
Right?
Which is
so
fake.
people
Like
can
wrestling.
sniff out in politics, right? We can all sniff out something that's not authentic or someone who's not authentic.
Yes.
Okay? And that's the one thing, like, okay, doing Lost Speedways with Dale, he'd pick on me sometimes because I get a little excited about like, I'm excited about everything in racing.
About a tree coming out of the wall in one of the race tracks.
I'm excited about it.
I saw that.
And it's genuine. Yeah. It's not fake.
Oh, yeah.
I don't have to act. I don't have to, like this sport my entire life, I didn't fit in up north. Okay? Like whether it was school or anything, I was the outcast or the outsider until I moved south. You know, and I started really feeling comfortable in my own skin because I was a racing guy in a stick and ball town. So, but getting back to what you said, the reason why Bob and I think have lasted in this sport is authenticity. Mm-hmm. You know, I wear it on my sleeve. I'm a dork. And I don't care about saying it. I'm not Mike Joy. I'm not this suave talking Rick Allen type guy. I just lead with
Rick Allen.
Yeah, I mean Rick's got the golden pipes.
He does. He does.
I don't have that,
and so does Mike Joy.
But I'm passionate, and it's like I think people, I hope, think like a guy like me and Bob are more like the everyman.
Yeah.
You know, we worked for it.
Comes across that way.
You know, we couldn't afford to race growing up. So my dad took us to races. Then we found a way. I remember having a conversation in the back of my dad's pickup truck, traveling to races in the bed of the pickup truck with my brother, and taking 3-hour, 4-hour trips in the back of it and having the conversation. I wonder how we could work in this sport. I wonder how we could do it because we didn't have money to race. Huh. You know, Dad cleaned gutters, repaired gutters, and repaired roofs. We're common people, man. We didn't get it handed to us. So that was the end, was the media.
And you go to college for that? You go to school? I was
Doogie Howser, dude. I started in high school. My brother started when he was 14, writing for a regional newspaper.
He told us.
Area Auto Racing News. Me, I started when I was 16. My brother and I had our own local TV show about racing. So I I would work overnights and go straight to school and try to fake it through the day. And, I worked full time basically through college. But yeah, college, it helped, but no, it was like Doogie Howser real world experience at an early age.
So you never varied from what you want to do from a very young age?
I just want to be in racing. As long as I have a job in racing. If you gave me a job right now, if this all ended, what I do at Flow, and you said, hey, Dillner, I'm going to give you a job where you can provide for your family and you're going to work within the sport. Okay, let's go.
Really? So what was your first big job? I mean, you're working through high school and college. Where did you think, okay, man, I've put down some stakes. This may be permanent?
Yeah, well, it was we developed a relationship with TNN back in the day, the network that covered NASCAR. And they hired my brother, and then I was doing some freelance stuff for him, living out of Long Island, New York still. And they tried to get me full-time, and I said no. Then they tried to get me full-time, and I said no. And then I kept on turning them down like an idiot. And finally, I'm like, I better accept this job. So, and then I moved down south, and I've been working in it ever since. It's like 30 years now.
So what was the first thing you did there at TNN?
With TNN, I'd edit features, produce features. I was just starting to do camera work, which is what I eventually moved into for about 20 years, shooting camera within the Cup Series. And then have ventured now back into producing, which was kind of my forte at the beginning. And the on-air stuff came really late with me. I wish I'd, like Bo McGray, announcing at Bo McGray every Saturday night on Flow.
Yeah, that's great too.
I wish I knew how much I enjoy that when I was in my 20s. Because that is the most fun I've ever had in this sport. To sit in this beautiful booth overlooking this magnificent racetrack and talking about racing.
Full of people.
Yeah.
I mean, that thing is packed all the time.
17,000 people. And to talk about racing, you and me right now, I'm having the time of my life because we're talking about racing.
Me too, man. So, okay, so from TNN, how do you get over, and there may be a bridge of time between
there's a lot.
But what do you do next?
From TNN, that lasted about a year. TNN got bought by Viacom. They shifted me over to totally NASCAR on Speed Channel and Fox Sports 1. From there, I went to ESPN, Turner, TNN, NBC, the first contract. Or I think that might have came for the NASCAR Productions. I probably worked for about 12 different outfits. And then NASCAR let me go. And I was in trouble. And
so why did NASCAR let you go?
Somebody let me go. I'm not going to blame the company. I always blamed an individual, but I've made peace with him now.
Really?
Yeah. I saw him.
Hermie Sadler.
No, I saw him in Daytona last year, and I try to have Christian values. And he's type of, for a while there, I harbored some feelings in my heart where I was like, if I ever see this guy in a dark alley, he's not making it out. And then I realized how inherently wrong that is to think. I'm a conservative, I'm a Christian.
Yeah.
And I changed my tune, and I saw him at Daytona, and I'm like, no human being deserves to have that thought about him.
Hate in your heart.
No, it's just terrible.
Yeah.
I'll admit it. I'll admit my faults. And so I went up to him and I hugged him and I told him thank you, because actually him letting me go, him getting me let go, whatever you want to call it, doesn't matter now, was the greatest thing that's ever happened in my career.
Why?
Because it was
sometimes
it was unexpected.
That is the lowest of the low, but it can actually be the springboard to the highest of the high.
It was. I mean, it was the lowest of the low. Everything from panic attacks to just pure horror of not knowing how I was going to feed my family. And then Mike Davis.
You didn't know whether you're going to ever get back in racing,
or how am I going to feed my family?
Right.
This is all I've done. And then to have Mike Davis call me, and then Dale call me. I was with Andy Seiss, former Southern Modified driver. He was running ARCA. I scrapped down to Daytona with him, and I'm like just bumming around seeing if I could find a job.
Right.
And Mike called, and then Dale called, and that was, I'll go to my grave saying I'll run through a brick wall for Mike Davis and Dale Jr. because they gave me a chance, and I wanted to meet that chance, that opportunity with 120,000% effort. And I did, and I know I did.
You did,
and I'm proud of that, and I'm proud of what that company has become and still is becoming, and I'm trying to do that same effort at Flow, because I want to work in the sport till there's dirt on me, buddy.
Well, I'm telling you what, what was in your heart was obviously you wore it on your sleeve, and especially in the Dale Jr. download. And even my son, who is here, he's now at 10. We got into Lost Speedways.
Yes,
and
thank you.
He was having a time where he couldn't sleep at night, but if we turn on Lost Speedways, he could go to bed. And he used to always say about you, he's so happy. He's so happy. And he wanted to go to these places because you're walking through the woods and pointing out great things.
It's an amazing experience.
And we're getting ready right now for qualifying. Actually, I think the first car is out on the track. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you a little bit.
Okay. Well, what we do is maybe take a break and then you come back. Let qualifying go in, and then come back. Because
we should just let them listen to this.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, God, that sounds good, doesn't it?
Best
600 horsepower ground patterns, man. There's nothing like the sound, and I know you're hooked.
I'm totally hooked.
Because these are the best race cars in the planet.
Ever.
Hands down. I mean, I love 410 sprint cars, USAC midgets and Silver Crown cars. There's so much cool in racing.
Yeah.
There's not a lack of it. But these damn things are just epitome of cool.
And they're fast.
Yeah.
And they're racy. And the races are really, really good to watch. I mean, you don't get into that kind of single file race. And I, like Dale Jr., was a little disappointed with what happened in Wilkesboro. But you were there when we came back to Wilkesboro and brought the modifieds there in the first night. And we put Ryan Newman in our car and we won the thing. I mean, that was a thrill of a lifetime. But to see the cars back on the track, I even texted Chris Williams when he was down there selling merch.
Yes.
And I just said, is it just me or were the modifieds better? That race was better. And maybe I'm biased, but
the super late models and the late model stocks put on a show there. I will say that. The Cup Series, not so much, but
Cars
that's not the track's fault.
No. Cars Tour was great.
The car.
Yeah. Cars Tour was great. It was ASA.
Yep, ASA National Stars.
Unbelievable. We watched that on Flow. Yep. We're hooked on Flow. In fact, we have to fight. We don't share, but my son has a tablet, and if he's watching Flow, then we can't watch it on the big TV. So we're thinking about when he gets his birthday present, he'll get his own account to Flow Racing. We love Flow, and you guys really are just highlighting the most important thing about racing, which is the grassroots level. I mean, this is where racing started, but it's also, I think, its future is dependent on what we're doing here.
Well, Flow, because Flow is a very dirt-centric platform.
Yes.
And there's a very relatively new shift to where we're also covering pavement. And that shift came with Oswego and Stafford and then the NASCAR contract and NASCAR Roots and the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour and the Roots program with the short tracks. But it's still new. Pavement's still new to Flow.
Yeah.
So we got two guys down here in the South, me and Rob Blount, and we're really pushing hard to lift pavement racing on our platform. Brandon Paul and content, guys like that. Because we're pavement guys. We love it all, right, dude? I'm going to the high limit race at Eagle, Nebraska coming up. But, this is my heart here, man. The Cars Tour, Smart Modified Tour, Bowman Gray, this stuff is my heart.
Well, what do you think about Dale Jr., among others, of course, buying the Cars Tour? I think that is a real shot in the arm for short track racing and rural racing.
Rising tides raise all ships, right?
Yeah.
And Dale and Jeff Burton and Kevin and all the guys that are involved in that deal, yes, they're there at the track and they're not trying to change it. Like, I'm having these conversations with them and really seeing that they're kind of reviewing things and they're going to make it better, even better next year. Right now, it's just the series is excellent. Let it be excellent. And they're really going to improve it, but they're not going to go in and just try to disrupt the apple cart. Don't try to break something. Don't try to fix something that's not broken. Too many times in life, and I mean, you see it in government. A lot. We try to do that. We just try to change the way things are, and it's like, no, if something's excellent, don't leave it alone, and then adjust. It's like a race car.
But they bring that credibility. They bring so much excitement all of a sudden to the Cars Tour, which we would see the Cars Tour around here and stuff, but it really just took it to a next level just by having those gentlemen take it over and say we're going to make it better and we're going to
highlight.
Yeah,
it's horsepower. I'm sure when you started in politics, you needed somebody to advocate for you. You needed somebody to, take your hand or show you how something's done or give you some advice. I don't care if you work at a mill or if you work at the supermarket when you're entry level or whatever. People have to advocate for you and show you. Then you need to meet that opportunity with hard work. This series right now, this one right here, the Smart Modified Tour, is the same way. Sometimes you need somebody to advocate for it.
Yep.
And tell people how awesome this is. lot of people don't know short track racing. There's a lot of NASCAR fans out there that are just like, oh, Cars Tour, what's that? Oh, Smart Tour,
Right.
whatever. I don't know what that is. Smart? Why is it smart?
Right.
Who made it smart? But like, if you have somebody that has a voice, advocate for it and show them that this is the most badass racing on the planet.
Oh, yeah.
And you sell that to them, that's what it needs. It's horsepower.
Yeah, you see that guy right back there wearing our shirt? That guy right there is Aaron Arnold. He sold
has
me
horsepower?
He sold me my RV at Camping World, and we came kind of buds. And he loved, he's interested in racing. And then he came out here and he's like, "Oh my God!" Within 15 minutes.
Yep. Sometimes you just got to show them, right?
Yeah, just one time, and we brought politicians down, lobbyists down, people from big corporations that all of a sudden say, "Hey, maybe we want to get involved in this," because again, that's what's most important. We're like, you look around, there are customers everywhere.
I need you. It's not just customers. I need you. This sport needs you. Okay? This sport needs you. It needs your influence. Because our sport, at times, has suffered greatly for lack of relationships within local communities as far as, politics. As far as, whether it's assemblymen or I don't care.
Right.
And having people that come in and understand our sport, and then, you come in here and you look at all these fans here and you see what it does to a community. You see that this is not just some sporting event making money. You see families out there with their kids and learning lessons and being here as a family, not out on the street, not doing something bad. We need relationships with people like you. Lost Speedways is very near and dear to my heart. And there's a reason why there's a lot of lost speedways, and one of the reasons is a disconnection there.
Yeah.
You
mean with the community? Between the community and
you
the
have
track?
the community, but like local politicians, I'm sorry, they don't know these venues as well as they should in some areas, and the venues don't do a good enough job of building that relationship with y'all.
Yeah.
And it's a shame because then what this does, a racetrack builds a community. Okay, it builds a fan base. Then the success of that grows a gas station on the corner. And then that gas station on the corner builds a little restaurant. And then after the restaurant comes another store. Next thing you know, if you look geographically at most racetracks' lifespan, they start in a field with nothing around it.
Right.
And then the population and the roadways and everything in the infrastructure grows around it. And when it grows around it, if it doesn't have that solid community base with local government too, what happens is people move in and go, "Oh, what's this noise? What's this? And what's this?"
Why is it so late?
It's easily shut down.
Yeah.
That relationship with local government, is that bridge between the community and the venue.
That is well stated, and it's even more important because what we've, just by way of comparison, in North Carolina, of course, they had the ARPA money, the money that came from the pandemic, the federal money. You had a governor and a legislature that was willing to put that money. I think they put like $18 million towards North Wilkesboro alone, and when they put that money towards North Wilkesboro to help bring it back to life, that state dedicated that money to those racetracks. Not just one, but many, which was a great effort. We tried it. I put the budget amendment to use, I think it's $25 million to restore our racetracks. I had previously written a bill that got passed that created the NASCAR Heritage Trail here in Virginia.
Yes.
That got all of our short tracks together so that they would be promoted by the Virginia Tourism Bureau. And so I thought it was a no-brainer. Let's get these things revitalized. Let's do what we can. Of course, those in power had other ideas, and they looked at me funny like, racetrack? Why do we need to get money to racetracks? They just don't have that education that you've just taught us, and why it's so important, the relationship between the area that it's in, the local government that serves it, and also the state that holds the land. And in the Commonwealth of Virginia, we have, 14, 15 tracks like this that we need to preserve, and we need to invest in them.
Yes.
And because...
Just like we invest in other things we should, like schools or community ball fields and soccer fields.
Right.
And we should, right?
Right.
But a racetrack is the same thing. A racetrack serves the same purpose. It's not just entertainment. You look around here and you see that. You have to be at a racetrack to understand that.
That's right. That's right. And, one of the things we're worried about right now in Virginia is Southside Speedway.
Yes.
Historic Southside Speedway in Chesterfield County. I mean, you're talking right there.
Southampton. There's
Southampton's opening back up.
Yes.
Now.
Yes.
But then you have
I heard it's being
Southside Speedway
sold, possibly.
Oh, is it?
which could be a good thing.
That's Southside Speedway. That's
just a rumor.
Yeah, I think you're confusing that with another track. But
no, I was talking about Southampton.
Oh, I was talking about South Boston.
Maybe.
Oh, really? You?
No, not me. You think I mean, I'll have enough. I've got enough trouble buying French fries at the concession stand, let alone buying a racetrack, buddy.
What bothers me is, like, look at Southside Speedway. Wendell Scott wins track championship there. I mean,
yes.
The Jackie Robinson of NASCAR, historic Denny Hamlin home track. And right now they're weighing the possibility of turning it into ball fields instead of restoring it to its greatness.
Which would be a shame. And let me just point out, you marked some incredible history there, right? With Wendell Scott. I was just up at a facility that we did a Lost Speedways episode on, Hinchliffe Stadium in Paterson, New Jersey. Paterson, New Jersey has been a city that's long suffered. And it's needed a shot in the arm, and it's had this great stadium sitting there dormant in weeds and graffiti and just crumbling for a long time. And luckily, I'm a big fan of history of all sports, so one of my favorite places I've ever gone is the Negro League Hall of Fame in Kansas City, Missouri. Yep. And it's just an incredible place right next to the Jazz Museum. And I learned a lot, and I actually learned about Hinchliffe Stadium there because it's one of two, besides Rickwood and Birmingham, it's one of two African-American, based league, the Negro League ball fields left in America. And because of that heritage, the government was able to come in and free up enough funds and grants, and they have restored this wonderful stadium. But that stadium has a very rich racing history of midget racing in the 30s and the 40s, the post-war midget era, and stock car racing, and football and basketball, baseball and boxing. Babe Ruth came there to watch boxing matches.
Oh, wow.
And it's such a gem to the community now that it's been restored. So I'm hoping Southside, a place like that, they can realize what they have in their backyard. Wendell Scott, he was one of us, man. He was a racer. I don't care what the pigment is on your skin. I learned one thing growing up in auto racing, a sport that sometimes is stereotyped as racist. But my take on racing, because I've lived it my whole life, is once you're a racer, generally you are accepted no matter who you are, what race, religion, or creed. And that was my life. That was my experience growing up. And I hope that Southside, with that great history, somebody needs to latch on to that and realize that and celebrate that and try to bring that place back.
Once you tear it down, you can't get it back.
Yep.
And they're not making any more racetracks, so we got to preserve the ones we have left. I mean, that's the most important thing. So, I hope we put it together in Southside Speedway. During the pandemic, they put plastic boxes around us at our seats in the Senate. And so I figured, well, hell, I can put anything I want up there. So I put a big sticker that says Save Southside Speedway.
Yes.
And the clerk says, hey, you can't do this. And I said, well, you're not supposed to put us in a plastic box. So if you put me in a plastic box, I'm going to advertise. And that started actually a great turnaround where everybody started putting up, like butterflies and stuff on their.
Aren't you glad this pandemic is over?
Oh, man.
That we're out here under a beautiful blue sky. I'm a Carolina guy, so I always say Carolina blue skies. But we're sitting here in Virginia by a mountainside, farmland, at a historic little tiny short track. And we're doing a podcast here.
I know. On a beautiful day, 70 degrees on Memorial Day Friday.
Eating barbecue with the senator.
Hey.
Life is good.
People charge for that. But you're exactly right, and you can feel the history, you can feel everything, you can feel the flavor. Now, let me ask you one question.
I love that you bring your family to the racetrack. Okay,
every time.
I'm sorry, I know this is your show here.
No, please take it over.
I love how much your wife, your family has fallen in love with being at the racetrack. The first time I met your wife, she didn't want to sit up in the press box. She wanted to go out there and feel the thunder of the modifieds. At Florence was the first time I met her a few years ago, and I just was like, wow. She's really cool. He outkicked his coverage, and he got a good one because she really genuinely likes it. I see the passion with your family, too, and that happens. When you bring your family to a racetrack, that's what happened to me. Yeah. My dad brought me to the racetrack, and I fell in love.
Me too. And
you're doing that with your kids.
And I've seen you here with your children. So
yeah, I wish I had Hudson with me right now.
Yeah, where's Hudson right now?
Hudson's at home. Annabelle graduated preschool this morning.
Congratulations.
So I was there for that, and we hustled up here. And Nana and Grandpa are here visiting, so they stayed home with them, and I came up here.
They grow up so fast, don't they?
Yes.
But I remember just a year ago, you were down here with Hudson when we won here at Franklin County. and it
We
showed
took
up
a
on my
picture together.
Yeah, it showed up on my Facebook feed, and I reposted it. It was great.
Well, I was proud of you. You know, I know we don't hang out outside of this racetrack.
Right.
Outside of these fences.
You're ashamed of me. I get it.
But but I see your family, and I know you're a conservative.
Yes.
You know, and I know that's something I don't get political. I've told you before. You tried to get me on the show before, and I said no.
Yes.
And it's because I don't like talking politics, even though I'm secretly very much into it.
Yeah.
But I am conservative and Christian, and I'm proud of that. I'm absolutely proud of that because it's the way the old school value system is what I was raised in.
Yeah.
And I don't vote for a party. I don't care what party you are. I'm not voting for you based off your party. I'm voting for you if I see that you're a family man. I see that you are conservative. I see that you're a good man. I see that you care about the things I care about and have similar value system.
Yeah.
And I've so far I've seen that in you, buddy.
So if you were registered here, you might vote for me. Is that
I
what you're
might,
saying? Okay.
maybe take me out for a burger or something. No, I'm just kidding.
It's a work in progress, right? So, but politics is important because it helps us develop the rules and the laws that govern us. But a lot of times what we're seeing that politics are now trying to overrun the very foundations of family. And we're talking about family here at the racetrack. I mean, you look right down the road as the stadium is filling up. There are kids here. They're running around. They're watching with their parents. They're sitting with their parents.
Yep.
Family's the cornerstone for everything.
Yep.
And for me, that's why it's so important with my family and being involved in politics, and then educating everybody you possibly can on the things that keep the core family together.
Yes. And this is what
racing
keeps
is
it together.
Yeah.
I grew up, I didn't go to camp. Okay, I didn't go to, the things that my friend, I didn't really have many friends, but things that the other kids went to. I went to racetracks 2-3 days a week. I traveled in the back of a pickup truck, with a cap on it and a carpet back there. You'd never do that these days.
No.
Right? And
your parents would be arrested for child abuse.
And we'd sleep in the back of it if we couldn't afford the Red Roof Inn.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, you look back and you go, oh my God, that was so primitive. Or I didn't experience some of these things that other kids did. But you know what? They didn't experience what I did.
Yeah.
I was with my mother and my father. I was with my brother, and we were inseparable. We were close, and we went to the races as a family. And that's something that I want to do more with my family. I take my Hudson. Last year I was able to take Erica and Annabelle to another great Virginia track, Dominion Raceway. Yeah. And have her experience that. And that's so important to me because that's how I grew up. And if I don't have that, I feel naked. I love having my family with me at racetracks, because I love, my dad's gone for 10 years now.
I'm sorry about that.
And he took me to the racetrack. So now I get to teach the lessons to my son that he taught me in racing. Wow. And that's so crucial in my life. And it's such at the forefront of my brain and how I operate as a human. And that's why racing is beautiful. It's not just the sounds, the smells, the action, the drama, all the flash and glitz and glamour that we see. It's the stuff that nobody sees unless you're here. Yeah.
And that's why, too, I think racing at the grassroots level depends on that family unit. Because that's the future of the sport sitting there. Whether they, we're, hold on, my...
is this your car coming out here? All right, now on the track. Labonte. Hold on. We can do it from Trinity, North Carolina. Driver of the Pace-O-Matic number 18. Taking the green flag his first lap in qualifying. Putting the hammer down, coming out of turn number 2. Bobby Labonte. Let's see what he can get for his first lap. Bob Dillner will probably give us the time. White flag out. One more fast lap to go.
He's looking racy.
The NASCAR Hall of Famer, one of NASCAR's 75 greatest drivers, and the driver of Senator Stanley and that other guy, Hermie Sadler, coming for the checker flag. Loose out of turn 4.
You're a better Dillner. You're a better Dillner than the other dude.
I just thought it was funny. Let's stand up and call it.
That was awesome. I love it. But we're at. But
I don't even know what he timed. Let's just say he's on the pole.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a podcast. Who cares?
It felt fast.
We'll fake news it right now. We'll just say he's on the pole.
I love it. And and that's where Hermie and I got started doing this stuff. We loved it so much, and we really wanted to bring a highlight to the grassroots racing, a highlight to the Smart Tour, and we knew we could do it because he had those relationships, both with Ryan Newman and with Bobby Labonte, And we were watching the cars go around as they qualify as we talk. And
the 79's got engine problems.
Yeah, it sounds
James Savali, I'm sorry. I heard him burping the engine. It reminded me of Charlie Drzambek, my favorite driver growing up, burping the engine on a bull ring in the middle of the turn. He's doing it because I think they've got a little engine problems, but it sounded kind of old school.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
No,
I saw a squirrel.
Well, see, racing is in your blood. It's in your brain. It's what you think about it. And it's also, it's the center of our life as well. But we did this because we wanted to really bring more attention to short tracks.
Yes, sir.
But to get 2 of the 75 greatest drivers of all time.
Oh, my gosh. Isn't that great?
Now, Bobby Labonte became our driver because we used to camp next to him last year. And, of course, it wasn't hard for my wife to be talked into an RV. And then she decided the first RV was too small, so we had to get another one. Or maybe that was me. I don't remember. But we would camp next to him, and Kristen and Bobby, and they're wonderful people.
Great people.
And we would talk. And we were at Wilkesboro that one time after of course, Ryan had won, and we're having a great time and maybe having a glass of wine. And he looked at me and he's like, "You're having a lot of fun at this." And I said, so are you. He said, "Well, let's have fun together." And that started that relationship where he started driving for us. And then, Ryan, who'd won at Wilkesboro, finds out that we're putting this team together. He says, "Well, if you run a second car, I'll run with you." And here we now have Ryan Newman, Bobby Labonte in the Smart Series, bringing people to the tracks. It's not hard to get them here.
No.
But you see, again, the love of racing that they have. Yeah. I mean, these are guys that were at the top of their game in NASCAR. They're one of the top 75.
They're having fun.
Yeah.
They're not here because they're obligated to. So much of their life in NASCAR, and there's nothing wrong with NASCAR. NASCAR is great.
Yeah.
Okay. We're all a lot of us are here because of NASCAR and the success that it brought, and it shined on racing and basically, took racing on its shoulders for so many years across America. But there's a lot of sponsors and a lot of hype and a lot of pressure over there.
Right.
And these guys post their NASCAR career get to go out here and just do it for the pure reason.
Yeah.
We talk about certain things in baseball being pure. This is a pure part of the game, right?
Yeah.
Well, in racing,
pure swing.
When you see a guy like Kyle Larson go barnstorming across America at local fairgrounds racetracks, and he's doing what's pure in the sport. He's there not for a sponsor. He's not there for a obligation. He's not there he's there because he wants to strap into an automobile, into a seat, and go fast.
Yeah.
And have fun.
Yeah.
And that is the definition of racing and a racer.
Yes.
And that's what you're seeing with, right now at these little places across Virginia and South Carolina and North Carolina. You're getting to see two kind of legends of the sport that are they are not over the hill.
No.
They are good race car drivers.
Very competitive.
Oh, yeah. When they don't do
win.
good, they don't like it. But you're getting to see Hall of Fame level race car drivers race with some of the greatest modified racers around, and it's badass.
Yeah, racing with the Myers brothers.
Yeah.
We could go through the whole list of the smart stars.
Tim Brown. And what I like is you got those veterans, right? But then you got kid Caleb Hetty winning the title.
Yeah.
Okay, in Baldwin's car last year, and you've got this Carson Lofton kid, 15 years old, and he's racing the right way. He's not laying bumpers to people and, boogering people out of the way, like you see some of these kids do in the late models. This is incredibly pure racing, and Smart Tour's got it going on, man.
Yeah, and I can see, like Brexton Bush or Harvick's children coming through this series as if they make racing part of their life in the same way that their parents do.
Modified racing, it goes in spurts. When you see a modified guy come up to the big leagues, you don't see it very much. You saw it with Steve Park,
Ryan
right?
Preece.
And Donnie Leah came up and had success, but you saw when the sprint car drivers got noticed. Ryan Newman's one of them.
Yeah.
Jeff Gordon.
Yep.
Then all of a sudden the sprint car guys were hot. Right now we got Ryan Preece in Cup.
Yep.
If he all of a sudden lights it up, you're going to see more people looking at modified racing. It's just trends.
And he is kind of lighting it up. I mean, he was doing really well at Martinsville.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fun to watch.
So, speaking of lighting it up, guess who's back?
Now, I got to tell you.
Line's over.
I got to tell you, Dillner.
602s.
Dillner, the Sadler brothers have an issue with Ryan Preece, and it's in our last episode, actually, that I got Elliot to talk about.
I love Elliot, but I'm sorry, I love you, Elliot. I know you're going to hate me for saying this. It's sort of his fault too.
Well, not according to him, and I'm going to go with the Sadlers.
And he's a racer, and I get it. I totally get his standpoint.
Yeah, but you can see it in his face. I mean,
I can see it both ways because I have to, because I'm media. But when I look at it from a 20,000 foot view, that was just as much Elliot's fault than it was young Young Ryan Preece.
Yeah. Now we got Chris Williams, the poor man's Bill France, back.
Now that I pissed off every Sadler fan. No, he's on the phone with his bookie right now.
Yeah. All right. Sorry.
Welcome back.
Gerald Compton's trying to get in the track.
You should text JB and make sure the poll winner is getting his poll award. I'm usually down there
doing
social media.
Because he called me and he said, "Who won the poll?" I said, "Tim Brown."
Tim Brown.
Tim Brown.
He's your favorite driver.
Bobby's third.
Bobby's third?
Yeah.
Where's Ryan?
7th.
Okay.
But they got to redraw, remember?
Yeah.
Top 8 redraw.
That's funny.
So,
we'll take that. We'll take that. How are we doing on the tire situation?
You know, the tire situation is kind of a little perturbed. Your cars drew good today.
Did we?
So you got
We've had tire issues in the last couple of races.
We do have tire issues, and, you know, Hoosier's been working well with us. You know, we had a shortage of tire last year, and they were doing everything they could to get tires. Well, the problem is they've done a really good job of getting tires, but the problem was they're mismatched. And so now they got to get rid of them, and so they kind of throw them in.
They're pawning them off on us.
Yeah, kind of. But, I mean, they're our tires. We bought them.
Sure, but why not just put all the junky last year tires into one truck and make everybody run one time?
It needs to be in one race so everybody's dealing with the same thing. We don't need to try to mix them in. And to be honest with you, that kind of changed the outcome of the last 2 weeks when they made a tire change, and the stagger kind of grew and didn't stay where it was supposed to stay. And so we've kind of addressed it. So far this weekend, all the way back of the 22 cars, it looks like 18th, I think, were you guys, and y'all got the right mix. So yeah, it didn't hurt as bad this week. And I think that's because a lot of people like a larger stagger here at this racetrack, so they wanted the larger one, so it didn't hurt as bad.
All right, well, let's not have some tire problems tonight, and that way, you know, I don't like calling you when I'm all mad. We always talk usually about, what do you say, 72 hours?
They already got me when they were mad.
Yeah.
So we got the 18-hour rule.
Oh, the 18-hour rule.
Yeah, the 18-hour rule is
I need to do that at home.
Well, here's what I do, and it's really cool.
My wife does it a lot.
This is really cool. I talk to every driver as soon as the race is over.
Yes.
Just because I want them to vent to me and not everybody else if there's a problem. And it works really well unless you're Senator Stanley and Hermie Sadler when you're mad at me. And
oh yeah, I've heard about the aggressive tirades.
Oh my God, it's great.
Yeah, there was one aggressive tirade.
I was part of one night.
You was? What happened?
Yeah, at the hotel.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Oh, yeah. You got it too.
I even heard it from the senator at one point.
Look, I'm passionate. What do you want me to be?
Hey, man, I'd rather have that than somebody that's... I'd rather have that than have somebody that talks behind your back.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Yeah, I'll tell you exactly how I feel.
Exactly.
You got that. I mean, and that's what I want from somebody else. I mean, that's why we have some really good, honest conversations. And, and we work
actually,
really well together on that way.
Is also not only my personal lawyer, he's also the tour's lawyer.
Oh, I thought you were going to say he also stayed in Holiday Inn Express last night.
He did. That's what I'm trying to say.
Why not?
And so when I want good advice from the household, I call Laura. And or his son, the youngest.
Smart.
That's even better.
Yeah. Smart guy.
But he's me and him's been in some very great negotiation practices.
We have.
Flow being one of them. That was a really good one. And it was memorable.
Yeah. So Dillner, so I'm running the board here, and we don't have a power source, so I've got batteries in it for the first time.
How are you doing well on your battery?
Yeah, I've got 2/3. It says.
Oh, wait,
and
you're doing great.
50 minutes in, so this is great.
But
I freak out because I'd hate to miss any of this great content because my battery's died.
I mean, I've wanted to be on the show for a long time.
We've
talked about this for a long time, but I'm the one that's been squirming out of it.
Well, you know, and Dillner, what we got to do is have another show where we talk about the old speedways. And you and I talked about that as being the format. We talk about the historic tracks, not just that the Smart Tour goes to. Let's talk about that history next time. Let's really dive deep into something like that. That would be really a thrill for me to have the expert on historic tracks talk about historic tracks that the Smart Tour visits, and also the ones in Virginia. I mean, that would be just a great podcast if you don't mind coming back.
Yeah, I'd come back anytime you want. Yeah. I mean, come on, man. You're a modified guy now.
Amen.
You know, and you're one of the family.
Thank you, brother.
Because when you're in modified racing, you never leave that family. Like my brother, right? My brother was dirt late model Bob for the last few years, and he was kind of out of the modified scene. Not that he didn't pay attention, but now that Chris has enabled him the opportunity to be here and be the voice of the Smart Tour on Flow, and the PA announcer for the tour, you know, he's back in modified racing. And you learn one thing, you know, when I was cup racing in the Cup Series for 20 years, you're never not a modified guy. Once you're a modified guy.
Amen, brother, because I love modifieds. And I must admit, my son and I will be watching the NASCAR race. We watch them religiously. It's kind of, both of us kind of looking at each other, and you know what we do? We turn on Flow.
Yeah,
we
baby.
watch one of the old races, one of the modifieds. And it's like, which one do you want to wait this time? And we actually have a better time. And no offense, because we love NASCAR. But sometimes it's not a great race.
Have to,
but there's always a great race on Flow races.
There's always a great race, but I also have to, hey, if you were coming on my podcast, I'm sure you'd talk about Pace-O-Matic and, Senator Stanley and Sadler's racing team here, SS Racing. I've got to say, like, a lot of people just know Flow for the racing, the live racing. Yeah. But now we're trying, we've got a very deliberate, other sports too, yes, but we have a very deliberate approach, Senator, of trying to be almost like a one-stop Netflix, okay?
Yeah.
The documentaries that we're coming out with, that's why I was hired. Legends of Racing, Bettenhausen's, Dirty Dollars, Jonathan Davenport.
Yep.
Some of the documentaries we've been coming out with, the Madhouse documentary. We've got a sneak peek coming out today. What time is it?
6:30.
6:30. It could be coming out about right now on Flow Racing social channels of our next Legends of Racing is going to be on the great AJ Foyt.
Oh, wow.
So you want to talk about pound for pound, dollar for dollar, like no holds bar, racer speaks his mind like nobody's ever spoken in the history of racing. Right. That is AJ Foyt.
So you are writing the content, you're producing, you're filming, and
I'm part of the
narrating.
team that does the documentaries.
I think it was like a 5 or 6 minute blurb about North Wilkesboro that you did.
Yes.
You sitting in the stands.
Yes.
And it was so moving. It really was some great content that we were all just glued to.
Well, I got to do something in that one that I've never gotten to do. I love the song Amazing Grace. And that song resonates with me with Lost Speedways because of the fact that it says, I once was lost and now I'm found. Yeah. It's just it was powerful to be able to finally use that song in talking about the rebirth of North Wilkesboro Speedway. So that piece struck really close to my heart. And at the end of it, there was a little, I won't say who, but there was a little dig in the end of it. When you saw me come on the camera and say, somebody once told me that nobody cares about the history of our sport and that the past doesn't matter. Yeah. And I'm really glad they were wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
That was a high level meeting that I was in one time.
Really?
And I was told that point blank. And I was like, hold on a second. I remember thinking to myself, I'm about 36 years old. I've been at a racetrack since I've been in my mother's womb. I'm pretty connected within what racing people actually care about. And I'm like, that's not right. That's not true. People do care about our sport's heritage and history. And so that was a lot of fun to be able to even say that.
Well, it's so damn colorful. And I mean, you were a part of that huge history, being the merch guy for Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Oh, man.
Chris was selling merch for Lee Petty.
Yeah.
Lee Petty.
Lee Petty? I mean, what are you talking about?
I mean,
I was putting dirt out on the beach for them to run them others.
He was selling commemorative T-shirts to the Wright brothers' flight in Kitty Hawk.
Y'all talking about Kitty Hawk is my
That was where he got to start.
He was out there hammering in the stakes for the Beware of Rattlesnake side at Daytona Beach and road course back in the day.
I do remember the first time we went to Phoenix. I was up on the hill and all these people come through and I said, what are y'all doing? They said, getting rattlesnakes. I said, from where? They're like, because we always set up the day before practice. Yeah. They're like, we have to make a sweep on Wednesday. And I'm like, I'm getting off. They say, best thing you do is just stay right here. Yeah. Because there was like 20 of these snake handlers going through the hills getting the snakes off. That's crazy. I remember that.
Wow.
I mean, look, my history goes back so far. I can remember
square wheels.
I can remember wheels. I can remember they was chiseling squares.
Fred Flintstone feet kind of start the race.
Man, those are some hard compound Hoosiers.
You got that right. They blistered quick.
So where do you see racing going from here, guys? I want to hear what your perspective is. I mean, as we
so that's a broad question. Are you specifically
from the grassroots level to the pro level? Where do you see it going?
I think Dale Jr. is getting ready to change the industry of grassroots racing.
Boom.
Period. I think Dale Jr. Somebody told me he was the redneck Jesus last week of grassroots racing.
I heard him called the Pied Piper. That every time he said something,
redneck Jesus was pretty darn good.
Good idea, and they followed.
Yeah, but Dale Jr. has single-handedly, not only from a standpoint of working with Dillner here and the Lost Speedways, he's entrenched in history.
Oh, yeah.
He was born into it.
Yeah.
Not only from his granddad, but his dad. But, he lived it, and he had all the fans standing. And whatever Dale Jr. wants to do going forward in grassroots, I personally think he can change it. And his partners, Kevin Harvick's a great business guy. Mm-hmm. I don't know Justin the way I know the rest of them, and I know Burton extremely well.
Jeff really cares.
More than cares. And so not only, look what they did this week. Had a fight and definitely suspended somebody. When have you really heard that? Deep, and it was
down
quiet.
in Hickory, wasn't it?
Yeah, but it was quiet.
That was pretty
wild. You
wild.
don't realize they didn't make an announcement about it. Now NASCAR did.
Don't piss off a girl. Don't piss off a girl with a race car.
But what I'm saying is Dale Jr. is looking for the best interest of racing, which is platforms at this level, because he understands how hard it is to race. He understands how hard it is for profitability. He understands how it is for the guy running 12th through 20th to do what he's got to do to make it to the racetrack. And to be perfectly honest with you, I think grassroots racing has gotten stronger since the pandemic.
Oh, yeah.
100%. And I think it's going to get even stronger. And look.
Well, okay, what brought it through the pandemic, Chris? What one driver?
Great question.
Brought it through the pandemic nationally on the short track level?
Well, you got to think Kyle Larson had a lot to do with it, not only from a standpoint of dirt racing and doing the other things that he was doing.
Now, who is doing it on the asphalt side?
From the asphalt
right now,
side, I don't know.
You just said it.
Newman.
No, you're talking about
yeah.
Kyle Larson and Dale Jr. are leading the short track renaissance across America.
But I think, look, and I'm going to say this because I feel like I'm vested in NASCAR for 40 years, right?
Yep.
That right now our product at the top level is lacking something. It could be the tires, it could be the car, but the short track is follow the leader. They're changing gears. They jumping off the corner. They can't pass. The cars don't really spin out unless they're hit. Right now there's a serious issue going on, but you don't see that at this level.
Nope.
And you see the car sideways. You see them bumping and banging and wrecking. You see them falling off.
North Wilkesboro was the litmus.
Yes.
North Wilkesboro was remember the litmus paper we had as children in science?
Yes.
Well, North Wilkesboro was just a great litmus for that.
Yeah.
Whereas the Cars Tour race was phenomenal.
Truck race.
The truck race, everything was phenomenal.
Everything.
The Cup car.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm not going to bash on that car.
Yeah.
That car is a race car. Now let's figure out ways to get it to go better, and we can as a sport, as an industry. People are pushing for it. It will happen. Yeah. It will happen.
They've got to tinker with the short track package.
Yeah,
because short track really is the best racing in NASCAR in my mind.
In all
either
of
that or super
sport.
speedway, and only a couple of super speedways. But I think they'll get there.
They'll get there. Rome wasn't built in a day. They've got some issues over there that they got to handle, but they will figure it out.
At least they don't have the gull wing there anymore. Remember that when they had that gull wing on the back? Remember?
Oh my God!
One of the Gen
Fast
4?
and Furious years.
Yeah.
Next, if they kept on going that direction, we'd have those big giant pipes on the cars. Sounding like a giant flatulent. Driving down the racetrack.
I heard some rumors, and I don't know if it's true because rumors are like anything else. It's people takes a little bit out of the conversation, but I heard they kind of wanted the flair of Formula One road course racing. Having a car look like it's more SCCA, and whether that's true or not, it's different. But this is not what this sport's built off of.
Yeah. Well, it reminds me very much of a V8 supercar in some ways in the look.
Yes.
And I don't think they've gone the wrong direction like everybody thinks they did. I think there was safety concerns, and now they've addressed the rear clip. Luckily, when I first saw that car, the original front clip, I was terrified because I'm a modified guy, and I lived through the 80s when all of our heroes died because of rigid front chassis, and I knew that was not good, and they fixed it, and then they fixed the rear clip. NASCAR is not stupid. They are going to fix these
100%.
issues 100%. They have. It's just like you in politics. If you have a team, you surround yourself with the best people possible.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you're a good leader, and NASCAR right now has stronger leadership than it's had in a while.
Yeah.
And I really think Ben Kennedy's emerging star in that leadership role, and I think they're going to get there.
And I think you're exactly right. So what's next for you guys? I mean, Cars has gotten a lot of attention.
Yeah.
You brought this series back, roaring back.
Yeah.
You think there might be some cross-pollination there, some collaboration?
It's like
opportunities?
It's like I told Dale Jr.
Does your phone ever not ring, Chris
it
Williams?
rings all the time. So it's and
it ain't me calling
guys
him
right here. These guys right here lived on my street and grew up with them. That's Tim
boy.
Faze, William Hubbard, Jay Blair. That's my boys.
Locals.
So to be honest with you, I had a quick conversation with Junior a couple of weeks ago, and it's almost inevitable not to. Because they are the best at what's going on right now with fenders, and we are the best in the South and the East of what's going on with open wheel racing.
Yeah.
So why not try to marry the two in some way, shape, or form? A race here, there, whatever it can be. I think it's one, inevitable, and I think it's a great idea. And look, I talk to all the fans all the time, and they're asking for it. I mean, they're like, come back to the true doubleheader like Martinsville had.
Yeah.
Or come back to this, and it's just a perfect storm. Now, look, you got to really understand financial side of it. The one thing is that if you put two cars at the same racetrack, then the back gate, some of the people are running the same car,
right.
Maybe a two-car. Mm-hmm. They're paying a bigger purse. Instead of $50,000, it may be $100,000. So now the ticket price is going up. So believe it or not, it all comes into play in the financial world. You know what I'm saying? But you can marry a couple of things together to make it better.
Yeah, look at that little kid. Right now we've got the smart modified ride-along car right here at the fan zone at the Pace-O-Matic
so cute.
SSR Smart Fan Zone. And this kid is smiling. She's got her headgear on, and she wants Dad to take a picture of her. I mean, how great is that?
That's awesome.
It's so great that Dillner's going over there to take a picture of that.
But you say,
And look, she gets an Icy Pop from Smart Tour and Sadler Stanley Racing.
Nothing better than a Icy Pop.
Exactly. It's a flavor ice, too. That's the original, baby. We're giving them out to all the fans tonight.
Well, I might steal one before I have to go in here and do this autograph.
Bunch of fruity flavors.
Yeah, but
you can get a purple tongue before you get up there.
Hey, you're talking about
go ahead.
Talking about flavors.
Yeah. Yeah, flavor ice.
Yeah.
We got it. What's your favorite flavor? I'll get my son Colin to give you one.
No, I'm on a diet. Remember, I got to get it modified.
It's water and sugar.
Hey, bring Dillner too.
A little bit of flavor.
I'll take orange.
I'll take a Dr. Pepper.
I'll take orange.
I'll take a Sun Drop. Which, by the way, I brought my own Sun Drop to the track today because I don't think you guys in Virginia have Sun Drop.
Oh, whoa.
And I'm a Sun Drop. I'm a Sun Drop and Cheerwine guy.
We have Sun Drop.
We have Cheerwine.
Oh, I've got one of these. Oh boy.
So let me ask you a question though.
Thank you.
When he talks about the collaboration efforts and the opportunities, and I think there are many, and I think it's probably one of the best things that we could do to help both of those circuits, both of those series thrive, but also the short tracks. How do we also how do we drive more people out to short tracks? Because a lot of times you think people just sit at home. What does that mean?
Influencers. Dale Jr., right, is in the racing space, and he's an influencer. Right. We need to reach outside of the racing space, but then we really need to pay attention to our core in the racing space to get them to the track. Okay, and, I'm not just giving a BS PR line here. One of the things I lead with Flo is, go to the racetrack. Don't watch us. Don't give. It'd be great to get good ratings, right? But I'd rather see more people at the racetrack. But influencers, people on social media,
like you.
I don't know about that. I'm just a big guy with a nice pop, buddy.
A blue one in that.
Mine's pretty good. If I sound too loud on here,
make sure you take pictures. So
can we give the listeners some good audio here?
Yeah, these are actually genuine flavor ices.
They're good.
And dude, we got like 800 for about.
I think I got icy on your mic.
Yeah, well,
they're really good.
Good thing we got the spit card. These guys are just wailing.
I love the cups here. Games of skill.
Sure.
What I love about it is I am not a skilled man, but I know I could probably use some skill. I've always wanted to play a Pace-O-Matic game. I have not played one yet.
Is that right?
I have studied up on Pace-O-Matic because here's the deal. When I was a kid, I was younger. I always loved
This is true. When you was a kid, you were.
I was younger. I loved Tic Tacs. Do you remember Tic Tacs?
That flavor ice is making you pretty literal.
Do you remember Tic Tacs?
Yes, of course.
Okay, right. But Tic Tacs are great. But you always heard the Tic Tacs in the guy's pocket. And you're like, he's got Tic Tacs. Yeah. Hey, give me a Tic Tac. Right? So I switched to certs. Right? The little tablet things. Nobody hears your mints when it's a certs. Well, guess what? Kelly Moore got sponsored by Tic Tac in the Busch North Series.
Look at that. Another guy got a T-shirt here.
Look at that T-shirt.
Put it in the cornhole.
It's like Oprah over here. Here, you get a T-shirt.
Free T-shirt.
But Kelly Moore got sponsored by Tic Tac. I went straight back to Tic Tacs because if you support our sport, we support you. And that's how these people are in the grandstands. You want to talk about loyalty? You know, there are people that in this sport that have proven the loyalty that they have to products that sponsors from 20 years ago, they're still sporting the T-shirts and hats. Yeah. Even in trends and trend setting right now in T-shirt game and the merch game, everything is the throwback. Yeah. This fan base is loyal to a fault. Yeah. You know, to the products.
And so that's why we're trying to educate everybody on what a skill game is. Certainly, I've got the lawsuit with Hermie Sadler where we were able to overturn an unconstitutional law that banned skill games, that favored monopolies, that
because it's not
took
gambling.
Small business. No,
I learned that because at first I was like, what is this thing?
Game of skill.
And I educated
you can win every
myself.
time when you play. You can use your knowledge.
It is fantastic.
It's not like a one-armed bandit when you pull the thing and it's chance. This is not a game of chance. This is a game of skill. And we have always, in the history of Virginia, we've always allowed games of skill. And here we were outlawing them only because we let the casinos in and the casinos wanted a monopoly and didn't want the small business owner to actually have an opportunity to be in the marketplace. And so that's what we're fighting for every day because it's kept small businesses open, especially during the pandemic. So you're being laughed at.
That's all my girls I play ball with in school.
Oh my God! You got like
here.
Groupies.
I mean, it's Franklin County. I know everybody in the grandstand.
You got
filling
groupies.
Up pretty good, by the way.
All right.
But
Chris Williams will be having an autograph session.
Look, see, they're wearing the Pacematic shirt.
Oh, that's awesome.
I mean, it's just everywhere. We're giving away shirts
everywhere around this place, and I love it.
This is great.
Sir.
It's just like brand recognition with Winston back in the day.
Absolutely.
You know, Winston was attached long enough within racing in the grassroots sector where it became almost like a word in your vernacular. Winston Racing Series. I didn't know it was cigarettes growing up. Had no idea. Yeah. But because they did such a great job of connecting to a sport, I loved it as a kid, not knowing it was even cigarettes. There might be some people growing up here that are 5 years old, 10 years old, that maybe aren't playing skill games, obviously, but like they're going to have that association with a name or a brand like Pacematic or some of the sponsors we see on these race cars and have a positive, mind frame about that brand or that word because of it.
And, every single person that's sitting around here that we educate about skill games, I need them to call their legislators and say, keep these skill games in Virginia because it may be still tied up in the court system. We're still going on with our trials, even though we have the injunctions in place. We still have a final trial to do. But our Virginia General Assembly needs to fix this problem, and they need to see how important they are, not just to the person that has them in their convenience store, their restaurant, their truck stop, but the people that play them and trust them because they know they have a shot at winning every time, where they get very frustrated on what they call these video game terminals, VGTs. And so that's why we trust them. Look, listen, man, I voted against casino gambling. I voted against gambling everywhere in Virginia. But when casino gambling came in, then I said, well, then let's rip the Band-Aid off and let's let small businesses be a part of it. Pacematic does that. Queen of Virginia is their product. And let me tell you, we even have a convenience store near where I live. They took the skill games out when they were banned temporarily until I got the injunction. They put in games of chance. The customers complained to the point where the convenience store had to put back in the Queen of Virginia games because people didn't like the games of chance because of our injunction. So that's why we fight, and that's why we're doing it here. So we're educating everybody, and you got to play a skill game when you're here in the Commonwealth of Virginia, my friend.
Come on, I need to come up and hang out with you and the fam one time.
Please.
We talked about doing it at a Virginia track where I'd come up and maybe camp or something.
Yes.
You guys know some good camping areas.
Yes.
I like camping.
Yeah, let's do that. And we'll get Labonte out there, and we'll have a great time. But we have to have you back on. My only concern is I'm down to one bar now. So
let's just wrap
here. Well, I'm 1 minute 16 in. I want to hear some of the wisdom.
1 minute 16 in? You mean 1 hour?
16 in.
16. Chris Williams was on. No.
He's talking about himself for a minute.
I never
16.
talk.
I love talking.
I never talk.
I try not to forget the past.
Yeah.
And I try not to forget the people that's helped me along the way.
All right, so handicap this race tonight, gentlemen. We've got 21 cars out there tonight.
Yep.
Tim Brown is the fastest.
Yep.
Look at him in practice. He won the pole, but I was watching him in practice, and boy, oh boy, I knew he was going to be fast in the qualifying because he was throwing that dang thing in loose. and fast going into the corner. But what I was watching today in practice was interesting. Watching Caleb Hetty really navigating intentionally the top groove here in practice. And I thought that was very interesting, the way he was driving the car for a long period of that practice for some of those longer runs.
We had a late model guy out here who's telling me to try to get the report to Bobby Labonte, don't run the bottom all the time.
Yeah.
There is a great top groove here at Franklin County Speedway.
There was 3 people that ran the top consistently. Joey Coulter. Mm-hmm. It was
Caleb
Burt
Hetty.
and Caleb Hetty. So I have a funny feeling. They weren't that fast in qualifying. But I have a funny feeling they're going to be really good at the end of the race.
And I expect John Boy, who was in your car last year and won the race.
We love John
to be
Boy.
fast here.
Yeah.
I also expect Bobby Meismer, who I believe finished second last year in this race. I expect Meismer, who qualified 6th today. I think Meismer is a guy that's going to get it done here because they're on the verge
every week.
They finally, I think, got their race car to where they're happy with it, and it's been a while since they've been happy with their race car, and I think they've found something. And this place right here would be a good feel good for them coming here, because they did so well here last time.
Yeah. Now, what do you think about the chances of SS Racing?
SS Racing, who are they?
I think
it's a guy named Sadler.
It's Sadler's team. That's what Bob
Sadler.
Dillner told me.
He's right.
Actually, Bobby
Well,
really
if you don't
likes
run well,
this
it is Sadler's
racetrack,
team.
and he's had a chance to win here both times.
In fact, a couple years ago when you brought me here,
Oh, wait, hold on. Let's talk about this.
He got wrecked.
Yes. I just
In the
busted
backstretch.
James Savali's butt about this because we were talking. I'm like, oh, yeah. I said the last time you were here, you dumped Bobby Labonte. He's like, oh, yeah. I'm like, how can you dump Bobby Labonte, the nicest freaking guy?
On the last lap.
I know
We were
it's the last
standing
lap,
on
but
the
he's
picnic-
so
we were standing
nice.
on the picnic
and
table.
James still didn't win.
Yeah, because John Smith
went
was
down
like,
to turn
oh,
3.
if you're going to play that by that,
I'm playing it down here on this
you
end.
want to talk about skill games?
Yeah.
That was some skill games right there, because old John Smith, the Mayberry Bullet, was behind that going, I see what you just did to Bobby. I'm going to do the same thing to you.
Yeah.
He did.
It was a great race here, and my son,
Race of the year.
that was when he was just sold on short track and sold on Bobby Labonte. So everything in my house has been Bobby Labonte. In fact, that's why part of the reason we brought him to SS Racing was so that at least when I had to pay all this money for the merch, it had our name on it. Because otherwise it was always the competition. I'd be like, can you just... He'd be rooting against us sitting at a track because it's Bobby Labonte on there. So we had to get him to be a member of our team.
Yeah, so Ryan's going to do really well tonight.
Thank you.
Newman's going to come to the front. You can bank on it.
I'm hoping for Bobby too.
And if
I
you
need
don't, we're
Bobby
going to change y'all's name to SOS Racing.
Damn!
Oh, man.
Damn
That's
it! I wish
closing it
the
strong right
battery
there.
had died before that friggin' comment.
That's how you close
Damn.
it. I mean, mic drop by Chris Williams.
Chris Williams says, "What the suck?"
I got to go to the autograph
What
session, so
the
I'm
suck?
out of here.
I
anyway.
gotta go too, but
Hey, let's wrap it up here, gentlemen.
Yeah.
And do me a favor. After the race, if we have a little time, maybe come back here and do like a wrap-up piece.
Yeah, I'll be here
can
till
talk
I
about
got to
the
do
race.
some wrap-up stuff
Yeah,
with
that's
Flo,
right.
so
Yeah.
so I'll probably be around.
Okay, I love you,
Thank
Matthew
you,
Dillner.
man. Thank you.
I
Thank
love
you.
you, Matthew Dillner.
Thank you, and thank you for everything you do
Thank
for
you,
our sport.
man. Listen, you're one of my heroes, and I'm just so honored to know you and your family, and looking at a lot of more future with what we're doing here in short track racing.
Thank you.
But thanks for what you're doing in flow racing, my man. You're quite a guy. This is Virginia State Senator Bill Stanley. I'm leaning right, and we're about to be turning left. Woo! Let's go do it.
Hi, folks. This is Hermie Sadler. Thanks for listening to our all-new podcast, Leaning Right and Turning Left with Sadler and the Senator. I hope you are enjoying the show as much as Senator Stanley and I enjoy bringing it to you. Whether you're a family traveling together or a truck driver hauling freight up and down the highway, I hope you will take the time to visit one of our Sadler Travel Plaza locations in Virginia and North Carolina. Sadler Travel Plaza locations are licensed dealer locations for Pilot Travel Centers. And we also carry Shell Motiva petroleum products for our four-wheel friends. We pride ourselves on providing one-stop shopping for service, food, and entertainment. Our food options include Five Guys Burgers and Fries, Quiznos, Dairy Queen, Hermie Sadler's Faux Show Bar and Grill, Victory Lane Restaurant, Hunt Brothers Pizza, Dunkin' Donuts, and much, much more. Our locations include Sadler Travel Plaza in South Hill, located off I-85 at exit 12. The Sadler Travel Plaza of Emporia, which is conveniently located on exit 11B off I-95, and Sadler Travel Plaza on Highway 58 in Suffolk, We also have our North Carolina location, Sadler Travel Plaza in Dunn, North Carolina. That's exit 75 off I-95. We appreciate all of our customers. And Bill and I appreciate you listening to Leaning Right and Turning Left with Sadler and the Senator, powered by Pace-O-Matic.
Hey, this is Bill Stanley, Hermie Sadler's sidekick on this podcast. When I'm not in Richmond at the Capitol or doing this podcast, my real job for the past 27 years is as a trial attorney with the Stanley Law Group. Here at the Stanley Law Group, we represent our clients in every courthouse in the Commonwealth. No problem is too small for us to solve. No case is too big for us to win. Whether it's criminal charges, traffic offenses, civil disputes, litigation matters of any sort, we handle it all. We make sure that we treat every client like family because they are to us. Your problem is our problem. Your success is our success because we hate to lose more than we love to win. And believe me, we win a lot. Don't believe me? Go ask Hermie. I'm his favorite lawyer, and he hates lawyers. So give us a call at 540-721-6028 and let us help you. Or visit our website at www.vastanleylawgroup.com. That's www.vastanleylawgroup.com. At the Stanley Law Group, we'll make sure we're the lawyers that you swear by and not at. And we're back. Segment 2, the Franklin County Speedway. I'm Virginia State Senator Bill Stanley without Hermie Sadler, but I got a guest host.
Chris Williams, Smart Modified Tour.
The poor man's Bill France.
Poor man's Bill France.
He's back, and actually what we're doing is we were going to record this segment after the race last night. We didn't get out of that racetrack.
Way too late for that.
I looked around. Nobody was showing up. I packed up and got in the car and got home about midnight last night.
God, that was early.
Let me tell you. Yeah, you got home, what, 2 o'clock?
Yeah, 2 o'clock.
So we had the first segment, as everybody just listened to, with Matthew Dillner, Bob Dillner's better brother. And but I got to tell you, I watched some of the highlights, and Bob Dillner was on there saying Sadler Stanley Racing. So he's now my good friend, and I love him to death. And he really, really did a good job. But we had Matthew Dillner in the earlier segment. I mean, he is like the preacher of short track.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the passion that he has is something that I have never seen. And the way that it lights up his eyes and the way he talks about and the positivity of it and the need to remember the history. We got to sit down with him and talk history.
Well, he's become the storyteller.
He is.
Because he's so intrigued of understanding drivers, racetracks, owners,
impacts.
Yeah, everything that's going on in the racing world. And he's now become an historian in himself. And when you put the historian with the storyteller, it becomes legendary.
That's pretty prophetic right there. I mean, that really sets it up, because I used to listen to him before I met him.
Yeah.
And then I met him, and you could even see the more passion.
Yes.
And I saw his show before I met him. But then when you meet him in person, it's not a game. It's not a trick.
It's all real.
And so hopefully you just enjoyed the last segment. And like we said, we were going to record this segment after the race and get post-race analysis. But instead, this is the next day in the Memorial Day weekend celebration as we celebrate being free, but also honor those that gave and made the ultimate sacrifice so that we could be free. But we had a great race at Franklin County. You honored, great people and great racing, but then you turned out a great product last night.
Yeah. So
except for the track,
we're going to go this.
The track itself is.
Well, okay.
The inanimate part of the track is fun and perfect.
So we're going step by step. So Gerald Compton was honored last night as a pioneer and a legend. And, Gerald is, people don't understand what he's done in racing, 100 victories.
Tell us about Gerald.
And Gerald grew up in Martinsville, Virginia, moved to Franklin County, married Betty Worley, Satch's sister, Satch Worley.
Did not know that.
Yeah. And, became a mainstay at Franklin County in the 80s and 90s, pretty much owned it, winning championships, race after race. Brought me to the racetrack in 8th and 9th grade on Friday nights.
Really?
Come and pick me up after practice, after football, after basketball, whatever. We would go to the race, and I got to be there when, he would win race after race, and everybody would come down, and they'd want to fight to get out, and it was always Barry Begley.
When you say fight to get out, what do you mean?
Well, they always wanted to fight. When they lost, it was always the winner's fault why he won. Never, Barry Begley was spun off of turn 4 on a white flag lap. Gerald beat him by half a car length, and it was Gerald's fault, and Gerald never touched him. But then you had to bout fight to get out because they lost.
Wow.
And that's the way it used to be.
What years were these?
This was 80s, early 80s.
Wow, so we're not talking 50s and 60s.
We're talking early
80s. You
80s.
look old, but I guess you're not.
I'm not that old. And so the cool thing is, Gerald, we wanted to do something, and we try to do it at every track regionally of who's there. We've done Ray Hendrick, and we've done Dink Widenhouse, and we've done this, and Paul Radford at Motor Mile. And I don't want to forget the history of the sport and where we came from.
Just like what Matthew Dillner said.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what he said also is a part of the Smart Tour, which is you remember the past as you move to the future.
Absolutely. I will never forget those guys that paved the way for all of us.
Now, wait a minute. We had a special car out there doing some laps, and that's a car that's a little familiar to me, and actually it was owned by you.
Yeah. So
tell us about that.
So a few years ago, probably 6 or 7, Nancy Haven, Richard Haven's wife called me, and
Richie Havens?
Richard Havens.
Not the Richie Havens singer.
No, calm down. Slow down.
I love Richie.
And Blimp Eanes had bought the original coach from Flute Hudson, and the body and everything was the original tub, as they call it. And he went and manufactured a new Evans chassis, Richie Evans chassis, with a big Dart motor, big motor. And they went vintage racing, and they won 2 championships at South Boston, 2 championships at Orange County, where they won. I mean, they won 26 out of 40 races in a couple of years.
That?
Probably in the 90s, first of 2000, and then Richard got sick and stuff. And anyway, they wanted somebody that would appreciate the car with its fast history, and of course, me being in the Smart Modified Tour and working in NASCAR and representing Earnhardt and all of our champions. In the sport, they asked if I wanted it, and I definitely wanted it, just because of the rich history.
Pretty car.
Oh, some of the prettiest cars I've ever seen, and everybody says.
And you're really proud of it.
Very proud.
You FaceTime me just to show me the car.
Let me tell you something. Oh, I love it. I mean, the car is bad.
Well, it was out there on the track last night in honor of the history of the sport.
Of the history of the sport, and Gerald Compton for sure. Gerald drove it. Paul Radford drove it. And every time they see it, everybody says, like, that's one bad ride, because they remember the victories they had in them. Dirt, asphalt, and so on. But anyway, so we celebrated that, and we really love coming to Franklin County. We really love it. Its history, back on its original Friday night date. You know what I'm saying?
Way out in the middle of nowhere.
I'm nowhere. I'm
Callaway,
talking about.
Virginia.
I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? It's out there, and people don't know it. It may not be but 40 miles from Martinsville, but you got to go through 25 miles of single lane roads and curvy roads and everything else. But
I live on the other side of Rocky Mount, here in Glade Heel.
Yeah.
And it takes me 30 minutes to get.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean,
it's the same distance to Martinsville.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's kind of like going to Deliverance, because you go past a few creeks and people's playing banjos out and moonshine and running canoeing and stuff of that nature. But anyway, we love coming up here, and the stories that we've already told earlier in the deal. Everybody, Coulter, everybody that runs it, every first person, they're like, I love this. This is a racer's racetrack.
And let's talk about the racetrack a little bit here.
Yeah.
Because you got to get the flavor and the taste for those that haven't seen Franklin County Speedway. I mean, it is walking into the past.
Yes.
You walk into the racetrack, and it is 1959, 1969.
So if you look at Field of Dreams, this is the track of dreams.
What do you mean by that?
Well, the Field of Dreams in Major League Baseball, right? They build it out there, and they'll come.
In a cornfield.
Right. Well, imagine a racetrack being built in the hills of Franklin County, and Jimmy Hensley's and Billy Hensley's and Richie Evans's and Monk Tate's and every Satch Worley's and the Paul Raffords and the Joe Henry Thurmans and everybody that's
Joe Henry,
Harry Gant, Darrell Waltrip, all of the legends.
Wendell
Scott's, all of the legends.
Bubba Wallace was one on that track.
I said all of the legends have run.
I like Bubba.
I didn't say I didn't. I just said all of our legends. So all I'm saying is they all have went to that racetrack.
Oh, man. And I mean, it is like stepping back into time.
Yes, absolutely.
And that is part of the
more ways than one.
but that is also part of the consternation and the frustration. You own this race series. You directed. You are the leader of it. You're the personality of it. You have revived it. We talked about that a little bit earlier. You walk into and you're very loyal to the Franklin County Speedway.
Yes.
But it needs some help.
Well, let's talk about it a little bit. I mean, let's talk about last night in general.
Sure.
So everything seemed to be going good. We had the conversation. Me and you've had conversation with Langley. Mm-hmm. We need to bring sponsors in. We need hospitality, working bathrooms, upgrades and concessions. We need PA systems for people to hear us. We need scoring. We need
You need to know what lap you're on.
Yeah, exactly. And
we didn't have that last night.
No. It was all working. It was all there.
Well, it was working at about 2 or 3 o'clock.
Yeah, and at 6 o'clock, they were playing country music. We were saying, hey, next up to practice is X. Next up to qualify is X. I mean, it was all working at 6 o'clock.
And then it changed.
As soon as qualifying was over and we lined up for the pit party at 7 o'clock, somebody come and said, hey, we got a kind of a blackout is what they call it. And I'm like, what does it affect? Scoring, lights, PA. And I'm like, well, the mics, our presentation to Gerald and our driver lineup and our national anthem and everything. And I'm like, okay, see what we can do. I mean, we got an hour.
Yeah.
Well, 30-minute update, nothing. 45-minute update, nothing.
You're getting closer to 8
wait a minute.
o'clock.
We got to run everybody off the track 15 minutes till 8 because we got to start the race at 8.
Right.
Okay, everybody get off. We get off, and we told the drivers beforehand, hey, we're going to line up on the outside. We'll play the national anthem, and then we'll call out your deal and get in the car and, do the whole deal. Well, I'm at 7:55, and we got nothing. And I'm like, what do you mean we got no lights? I'm like, wait a second. And so finally,
lights were a little dim last night.
Oh, it was bad, especially in turn 3. Yeah. Anyway, so we get to that, and we got to put on a show. We got Flo coming on live. We got everything going. The world is watching us.
Huge
the fans.
crowd, by the way.
Huge crowd. I mean,
I took pictures of it, and especially at our fan zone. We'll talk about that too. But I mean, I was so impressed with the crowd that was jazzed up and ready to race. Yeah. I think they knew as we're sitting out here at the Redneck Aquatic Center,
and it's starting to rain.
Farm, and it's starting to rain on Saturday. The race is going to be delayed. But that was the best night, and the weather was perfect.
Oh, it was beautiful.
Perfect.
No
it just
humid,
got a little
everything.
chilled on the race, but I think you like that when it starts to happen.
Absolutely.
So I want to set the scene. This is how big is that track? 3/8?
Yeah, it's a 3/8 mile. Fastest.
High bank.
Oh, high bank.
I mean,
2 grooves all day long.
Those are like Southern National banking.
Oh yeah, every bit of it. Yeah, it's a great racetrack.
So and it's probably not been paved since it was paved.
1968.
Yeah. And it's primitive on the inside of the pit wall.
Yeah.
It's primitive on the outside. It's got cement kind of steps that people sit on.
Yeah.
Everybody kind of gathers in there. The crowd that filed in was amazing, and they were in a great mood and ready to watch some great racing. And again, for the Smart Tour, I think it really kind of demonstrates, what a draw on a Friday night when people made vacation plans, and you get near to 2,000 people show up on a Friday to watch a race at 8 p.m. and watch your Smart Tour. But the best thing that Langley's the promoter.
Yes.
Whitey Taylor, who I love to death, Uncle Whitey.
Yeah.
He owns Tracks, owned it forever, and hadn't done anything to it. But love Whitey. But they put out in the turn 1 kind of grassy area between the catch fence and the stair kind of sitting area, an old dude, actually a 75 to 80-year-old dude who had an incredible tan, by the way.
Yes.
And was wearing a Elvis-type wig.
Yes.
A black Aztec jumpsuit.
Yes.
Was on a Kubota lawnmower.
Yes.
And was hauling behind the Kubota lawnmower a train of barrels that they had cut the top out of, put seats in, and fake steering wheels, and were riding the children around that whole infield the whole night of the race. And I mean, he never ran by without a full complement of kids in his train.
Yeah, matter of fact,
I mean, what a
awesome.
sideshow entertainment that was. And it kept the kids interested. And unfortunately, I must confess that that my friend from Camping World, Aaron Arnold, and my son, Colin, my oldest son, who's 21 years old, I guess there was a little lull in the kids getting in it, so they jumped in the barrel and were taking pictures of themselves as
that's awesome.
As old Elvis.
Well, it was funny you say that because my mom was there and she wanted to be there, and of course Gerald and Betty and a few of them, and
Richard Hall's parents were there.
Yeah, Richard Hall was there. His
Drew was there. Did you see Drew?
I did see Drew.
Drew Hall is Richard Hall's son.
Yes,
and he just got back from his first year in law school.
Yes,
and he's got a mustache. And I said he looked like Limu, Emu, and Doug. I mean, he looked like if you put the friggin' glasses on him, dude, or the guy from Reno 911 that wore the tight shorts.
Yeah,
the cop.
Yeah. So
anyway.
I was waiting on the ride for the golf cart to take him around because you can't walk through the flag stand.
Uh-huh.
And here come the caboose, and I told my mom and Gerald and them, I'm like, "Here's your ride." And so
Dark Elvis, in his dark jumpsuit.
You know, that track, everybody loves to race there.
Yeah.
And as we were dealing with our problems, you know, my mind.
But when you got a guy in an Elvis suit, a white guy in an Elvis suit, beautiful tan, by the way.
Yeah.
I need to know what tanning salon that guy goes.
Yeah.
And he's driving around in a black Aztec jumpsuit.
Yeah.
And entertaining kids. I mean, he did it for 3 hours.
Yeah.
I didn't know a Kubota mower could go that long in 3 hours on one tank of gas. I'm just saying.
Oh, he may have filled it up.
But, but that's the kind of P.T. Barnum stuff that actually Langley and Whitey bring to the...
Oh, absolutely.
At the same time, you couldn't record the race. The PA didn't work. Everybody who were sitting in the stands, and we were there because we were in the fan zone, we had no idea what lap we were on. We had no idea what we were doing. But still, even with those glitches, it was one heck of a race.
Oh, at 8:10, 8:15, we're trying to figure out lights come on. So then I'll give you the short version. So
it kind of felt like, when you hit your button for your garage door opener, it's not the best light.
Yeah.
It's not the brightest light.
So then Dillner says, "Hey, the internet's back up, and we have enough to run what we consider the connectivity to the cameras and." The monitor. So then we had TV, and I'm like, oh, okay. And then I said, okay, I'm not starting this race without the national anthem.
Yeah, which you shouldn't.
Well, you got no PA.
Yeah.
So I'm like, hey, Langley, you got a police car here so we can use the external speaker?
Right.
Well, they just left. Can we use do you have a megaphone, mega, whatever they call them, bullhorn? Yep. No, we don't have one. Can I use the ambulances? So we had to do everything we can to get it done. And then once we got through, the next thing you do is how do we start our engines? So JB runs out there in the middle of the front stretch and gets the crowd pumped up to say 3, 2, 1, gentlemen, start your engines, which it all worked well. But it was because we were trying to solve the problems to get the race started by 8:22.
We were in the first turn, down from where he did that.
Yeah.
But the crowd was so loud, and gentlemen, start your engine. Because I didn't know.
Well, nobody else knew.
No, nobody knew. I mean, you're sitting over there, it's quiet the whole time. You guys are milling about. And then you hear the whole crowd erupt in, gentlemen, start your engines. Yeah. And that crowd all night was engaged.
They were engaged
and participating. I've never heard, and we've been to a bunch of racetracks, and I've been to NASCAR events. It was close to what you hear when you have a good crowd at a NASCAR event. Yeah. Somebody's made a great pass or somebody's come by the
all-star event or something of that nature.
It was an erupting crowd of energy.
Yeah, the race was good.
And they all got along, and everybody was having a good time. Yeah. And Brady had his barbecue out there, which was fantastic.
Great.
We had, and before the race started, we had set up, you and I had agreed to do an appreciation of the fans. The Sadler Stanley racing team and Smart got together to do a fan zone because we think we need to kind of thank our sponsor and also explain our sponsor. And we had hundreds of people.
A big hit.
We gave away 150 T-shirts, 200 cups, refrigerator magnets. People signed up. We had over 200 people sign up in support of skill games.
But they learned a lot about the skill games.
And they got taught about skill games.
That was
and where
the most
they can
important.
find a real skill game that's legitimate. And so we really did a good job educating them. You also put out the ride-along Smart Series car.
Yep.
The 23 right next to us. We had cornhole that if they put
the fat kid magnet.
Yeah. We'll talk about that in a minute. And I think we might have a follow-up with an exclusive interview with those that might be involved
from little Timmy
in the fat kid incident. we'll see what happens. But we really put on a good show. And we had hundreds of people show up.
Yeah.
And they'd play cornhole, and if they could put the beanbag in the hole, they got a free shirt. And hundreds of people did that. And then we educated them on skill, educated them on the Smart Series, the SSR Racing, even our podcast. We had so much engagement there, and really people put on the shirts immediately when they left, and you could see a sea of these shirts in the audience, which was really awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and they were drinking their beer-ish stuff. Out of the cups.
Out of the cups. Yeah,
and my son Colin put on a lot of the production of that.
Yeah,
and Aaron Arnold was out there. My wife was out there.
It was executed very well.
Oh man,
very well.
That car was the difference maker. And I'm going to tell you something. That car, like hundreds of people were taking pictures.
Oh yeah,
we were letting kids kind of sit in the driver's seat and take the picture.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what we use it for.
And then we had a kid that sat in there.
Engagement.
Yeah, we
absolutely.
had a kid, kind of fat kid, who sat in the car for about 45 minutes and didn't want to get out. And then we thought he couldn't get out, and we had to help him out. And then later, and I think we're going to have to interview some people that were there.
I think you ought to interview them.
My kid and his two friends were in the car, and it was right at the end of the race, and I'd never heard swear words out of a
10-year-old.
And I thought maybe my kid was swearing.
Yeah, you was going to go
from the words that my wife probably taught him.
Stop.
She ain't here, so I can say this. And I went over there, and here's that kid. I mean, giving them the business. And I looked at the kid. I said, "What are you doing? Get out! What are you doing?" He was like, "Hey there," and he used bad language. We'll talk about it in more detail. But I was like, "How old are you?" I mean, he used the S word, the F word, the D word. I mean, every word. And he said 10. I was like, "Do you kiss your mom?"
So it's like he used stupid and dumb and all those other words.
A little harsher. But it was like, so then I make the kids scram, so the kids, because I thought he was going to give them kids the business. And one of Chandler's friend Cooper is mouthy. I mean, he ain't scared at all. My son, has got a little bit of the Stanley mouth.
Yeah.
But so I scare the kid off, and then I'm taking a look at that kid, and I'm like, his daddy's probably 6'8".
Yeah,
330 pounds. Just got out of prison. And is wanting to,
whoop you.
Yeah. It's my visitation weekend.
Yeah.
So that's the ambiance on the outside, and 2,000 fans, man, and great food, the barbecue, the smell of pork butt across the track.
It was good, actually. Yeah, it was good.
We were giving out flavor ices, and we had such a great time. Let's get inside the track. You're the race director that night. Hoots is off at IMSA.
Yeah, he's vacationing.
And so here it comes back on your shoulders. Let's talk about the race. What happened?
Oh, well, golly. One, you try to be as credible as you can and do everything you can in the race. Of
course.
The race takes off. It's going good. Had the 07.
Couple quick stops.
Yeah, a couple quick problems. Everything's good, and then all of a sudden we get it, around that 69, 70 lap mark, and
I never knew about that because there was no way to figure out.
Nobody in the fans knew what was going on.
The scoreboard was
nothing
off.
was working, right? Nothing.
The PA was off.
Nothing. We can't tell anybody anything.
All you heard was the roar of the engine.
Right. And
for the first time, we were only looking to JP to figure out what was going on in the flag stand.
Yeah, and so I'm giving JB all the information. We're trying to tell the spotters and everybody what lap we're on. So every 5 to 10 laps, coming to lap 15, coming to lap 25, coming to lap 60. Because if you don't, they got to tell the driver what's going on because they got to give them the information because of their strategies. Anyway, Tim Brown just put on a well of a show last night. I mean, he was the best I've seen him. He was running extremely well. Yeah, he was running extremely good. And then lap 70, all of a sudden he, stumbled, stalled, cut off or whatever. And we give our radios to all of our personnel at the track,
right?
Safety clean, open and close pit road. We give our radios. And even though some of them don't work directly for us, they all are working our series at that moment from the tracks and everything else. And somebody come on a radio and said, kind of like trouble in turn 4. It wasn't me who's in the director's seat or anything of that nature, which Hoots would have had to melt down from meltdowns. But JB heard it and threw the caution for really nothing. And I didn't know what the caution was for because, nothing had stood out to me. And so I all the thing I said on the radio is, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing? And nobody said anything. And I know there's no cleanup because I don't see anything.
Right.
Nobody's telling me.
Right.
So I immediately, the very next lap, I'm like, and to the fans, y'all see a yellow flag in the next lap, we're choosing cone because it's like there's nothing to clean up.
Right.
Because we don't know why the yellow was thrown. And so then we had a few of the teams just like, what? That's for Tim. The director didn't throw the
There was a
caution.
question about whether he should have reassumed his position.
Well, he was leading and back to fifth. The rule states that if you cause the caution, you go to the rear of the field. But like I said, I didn't throw the caution. I don't know why the caution was thrown.
Right. Well, and you wanted to get back racing.
Yeah, and let's go. You know what I'm saying? And
You'd already had a couple stops.
we had 2 reds, but they were.
But I mean, let me tell you, those cars are as fast as I've
yeah, they're
on any track.
yeah, they're extremely.
And so we got Bobby Labonte and Ryan Newman. Ryan is running. He kept going to the back and coming to the front. Bobby kept about 3rd or 4th position, really consistent, nice, good car. He was driving clean. He was driving great. We had Jonathan Brown, who our old driver was in SSR Racing. He went airborne almost in the same way he went in Caraway. Went sideways.
Absolutely. He was way airborne.
And I hope he's okay because we love him. He came up to the fan zone and was really great about talking to everybody.
Yeah, I think the car was so far up in the air when it hit the frame slammed the ground. May have hurt his back a little bit.
For us, it was kind of special when we saw him because 1 year ago, that's where we won our first race.
Yes,
Sadler Stanley
absolutely.
Racing. It was with
Anniversary.
Jonathan Brown
Yeah, absolutely.
at Franklin County.
Yeah, absolutely.
In my backyard. So I was expecting big things for our team. Now, let's talk about how the race went about after halfway.
Yeah, we get to lap 70 and everything, at that point is going pretty good. And, we had a couple of incidents and we got on a restart. And, from our perspective, the 25 kind of roughed up a little bit, the 39 just for a little bit in the turn 1 and 2.
Ryan Newman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when Newman got back, to him.
Spun him.
Well, I think what he did is, and it's just my perspective sitting in the seat, it looked like Newman just didn't go down in the corner like normal. He just kind of held a high line, like not making the
He was running
short
that
turn.
Outside line.
And so him and the 25 got together.
And that's one of the great things about Franklin County. You got the inside end.
Yeah, you do whatever.
Yeah.
And the 39 ended up being, kind of right hooked a little bit, probably for his fault, but he got right hooked. Nosed it into the wall. Of course, we threw a caution, but Newman didn't.
And my wallet started burning, itching first, then burning. And then I was running around the track saying, Oprah Winfrey, I'm on fire. Save me.
Yeah. So Newman goes to the back.
But the car was okay.
It's all but the bumper.
Yeah.
He had no bumper.
Yeah.
I mean, if he hit something hard, it's busting the radiator.
Right.
And so we go back to green, with like 25 to go. And I'll be honest with you, man, Newman came to the front. I mean,
in the first lap, he passed 3 cars.
it was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And when he got back to the 25 though, he kind of nerfed him.
I got to tell you,
He didn't wreck him.
He was racing with a purpose.
Yeah, he did.
And I don't know if it's like from, he went back to NASCAR. He raced in a couple of races so far for Rick Ware Racing. He's had some, some challenges.
Yeah.
But he was a determined man.
Yeah.
On
He was.
that evening.
He was
last
fast.
night.
He had a winning car last night.
He had a fast.
And he was saving everything till the end.
Wasn't he the fast on the track?
Yeah, I think so. We'll double check, but I'm pretty sure he was.
Yeah.
But he was a man on a mission coming back up through there.
Bobby's still holding 3rd or 4th the whole time. I mean,
Yeah.
he was really driving consistently.
Yeah, and we get down to, the last 15 laps, they're all bunching up. They're getting bunched up, and Burt
And 2
Myers
abreast racing almost the whole night.
whole way.
I mean, that's the best part.
Yeah, and it's green flag. There's no other caution.
Yeah, there's no single file racing, which is on the All-Star
As a
race.
matter of fact, I had some friends, Tim Pace and them, that went up there and called me late last night on the way home, and he says, I was expecting to see lap cars, and he said,
you only had one lap car.
he said everybody was like together on the front straightaway, side by side.
It was awesome.
And,
beautiful, exciting racing the whole time.
And Burt Myers, who hadn't won on our tour in 3 years, been saving a little tire. He decided to go with about 8 laps to go.
And he put about 4 car lengths.
He did. He put about 4 or 5 car lengths. So we get down and we get the white flag, and Burt's about 4 or 5 car lengths, and then it's Coulter, and then it's about a car length back to the 2. But from the 2 to 9th is bumper to bumper to bumper to bumper. And so Burt, our rule is, which I think we may change it next year, to be honest, finish under a green flag checkered, but I ruled today. I know it's a lot of controversy. If you're in the middle of the back straightaway,
sure,
the race is over.
I get it.
And Burt was past it,
and he was four car lengths.
Oh, every bit of it. And so I
and
called
he probably was halfway.
Every bit of it. Yeah. And I always call it. And as soon as I said leader at halfway, I see something out of the corner of my eye.
And what did you see?
Well, to be perfectly honest with you, I seen a Pace-O-Matic.
My cars are running third and fourth, 18 and 39.
Sadler Stanley spin, and I thought, I don't know why, but my first initial thought, I said, darn, Ryan done spun out after running that great a race. Yeah. And I was like, darn, he spun out. So we, checker flag, we're good. And so I looked down to see the running order, and I was like, that was the 18 that spun, not the 39. Yeah. And I knew they were running back and forth, and I looked at Dillner and I said,
and then my wallet started itching.
Yeah,
and then it started burning.
I was like,
and then I ran around saying, Oprah Winfrey, I'm on fire, save me.
And I was like, did the 39 spin to 18, teammate? And I was like,
tight.
I know, and I was like,
the two was bottling them up because
well, they were bumper to bumper to bumper to bumper. Yeah.
My first inclination was that it seemed like Bobby didn't get on the gas as he usually did. But
I don't know.
Maybe when I thought about it, Ryan was on the gas.
Yeah, probably Ryan was arcing to get a run down off the bottom, and he was probably trying to chop.
And so we may have touched each other, and it may or may not have been. But.
Yeah. And I think it took you from either third or fourth to fourth and 10th or 11th. Yeah. So because Bobby had to go. Yeah.
Look, people came out to watch them.
Oh yeah.
These are 75 greatest driver. So what do you?
275 the greatest drivers, the one that got together.
Yeah, but most of the race they were front and back. I mean, they were nose to tail.
Yeah.
And it was great for me as an owner because I didn't have to kind of search through the field to find the second one and see the. Yeah. So they were nose to tail. Bobby was consistent. Ryan had some mo. Whatever happened through there. I mean, I hate it. But those are two of the best drivers of all time in NASCAR fighting it out.
Yeah.
Even if they're teammates.
Yeah.
On the historic track of
y'all don't have any rules who wins in front of the others. Y'all don't have any.
We don't.
You're not Ferrari. You're not Formula One or anything of that nature.
We tell them both to go out there and friggin' do the best they can, and we don't sit there and say.
There's two different styles there. Where Bobby is smooth. He's kind of like his brother.
Butter.
He's like Iceman.
Like butter.
He doesn't get excited in the car, everything.
And Ryan, you could tell the determination.
You could see the light switch last night when he got roughed
from
up.
the back to the front twice.
Well, the 79 hit him the first time.
Yeah. And by the way, and I'm going to tell you, can I make a request?
Is this for a tour rule?
No. When Jeremy Gershner comes to the track, can he just hit my car in the back first, my Cadillac, and that way that he's taking care of Sadler Stanley Racing, so he doesn't hit the backs of my car for the rest? Because we've seen this at Martinsville, we've seen this at Caraway, we've seen this now at Franklin County. I mean, God bless him, I like him. He's a real sweet guy, but damn it, every time
he only spun out 3 times last night.
And Meismer was the other guy that got us.
Yeah, Meismer's
some engine issues.
Well, no, I think he's at alternator 3 weeks in a row, which is. Well, I mean, they're trying to pull power, but I don't understand what's going on there. But
look,
yeah, I had somebody come to me last night talking about Gershon. They said, "Is there a 2-spin rule? Park after 2 spins?" And I said, "Well, the last time Tim did spin him out.
He comes up here from Florida. I love the fact that he participates. He's got a great personality and all that. But hit somebody else's would you? I mean, I'm going to have to
read
that one.
Yeah. Anyway,
I mean, but really,
I'll take the suggestion, but I mean, I don't know what I'm going to do with it.
But a green white checker would have been a great.
Yeah, that would have been. But look, I know why we.
Burt Myers winning was.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
He's been chasing that for a while. It's Mr. Consistency.
Well, I got to laugh. He finished outside the top 3 in 6 races this year, 6 different winners. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's
for the smart team.
Yeah, this is going on like it was, 2 years ago.
That's parity.
It's very much parity.
Don't you think kind of part of it is the uniformity of the rules and also the inspection and tech?
Yeah, I think inspection and tech has made a huge difference, which you as an owner and a lot of people wanted to see certain things change. Speaking of tech, kind of funny, we took all the sidewalls and everything off of his car last night. And Bert, oh yeah, we tore it down. And they look at JB, and JB said, "I got nothing to do with it. It's all the tech guys." But
you should take down his engine because he was fast.
Yeah, he was really fast,
man. And good for him.
Yeah, good for him. His first time he's won.
Look, he's a legend in the Smart Series.
Yeah, he's a legend in the South.
Yeah, and you could tell once, and he was also determined. Once he got by, it was Caleb Petty.
No,
who's in the gray car?
Coulter, Joey Coulter.
Okay, once he got by him, that was you could tell.
He ran a good, but he did hit the wall with 2 to go.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, nobody knows. Like he come off to 2, he hit the wall, and Coulter was like 4 or 5 car lengths back, and he got he was going to go down to the inside of him, and Coulter realized I don't have quite the run, and then in 2 laps, Bert was 4 car lengths ahead, but Bert hit the wall.
He ran a great race.
Yeah, he did. And but anyway, so we had a little bit. Matter of fact, here it is Saturday, and we do the unofficial Saturday afternoon at 4. I've got to make a few changes, a few things that got wrong last night because of the scoring and what's going on, and the stuff in the scoring deal.
Here's $100. Score me at second somewhere. 1 car, I don't care.
No.
Should have froze the field at the time.
Well, that's what everybody said. He just froze. I said, I can't freeze it, man. This is not NASCAR. I don't have
freeze
loops.
The field,
I don't have loops.
We went from 4th to 5th. We're okay. We're good.
Nah.
Well, I hate it for Bobby because he ran a great race, but I like it for Bobby's Ryan, he was having fun.
Bobby's ran every race good but one that the car was mediocre for some reason. Yeah. I think it was tires to be perfectly honest with you. We had the tires has got issues, and we should get through that. But the rest of them, he's just ran into trouble at the end of the race for some dumb reason or another. He's been competitive. He's in the top 2 or 3 every time, and he'll get away from it. You guys will.
I want to see him win. I want to see him win.
Oh, absolutely. Everybody does.
Now that Bert has his, let's get Bobby on the board.
Yeah. Well, let's let him be number 7.
Let's get Ryan on the board, and then let's go win some championships. But, man, let me tell you something. Haven't seen the Flow race except I saw the highlights. The highlights came out great. Supposedly there was some choppy. You couldn't hear Bobby Dillner here and there.
Well, I had a very prominent NASCAR personality. Let's put it to you that way. Called me this morning at 7:30, laughing before he ever said a word. He's like,
he was watching it on TV, right?
He's like, man, he said Dillner was a little frustrated because it was like apologetic. Well, again,
the track needs to get better. But I will say this about Flo. Just from the highlights and just from, they had the drones up there, they had the second cars. The only thing they're missing really is getting a mid-pack camera. Because that's where a lot of the action.
Well, they're also missing pit reporter, because when these guys have problems, when they come in, or the 14 parks, we're trying to send somebody to find out who it is so we can give the information.
Right.
And we really do need a pit reporter. Yeah. Like it would help out the flow. But we can't say it on a PA because there was no PA. We can't, it was smoke signals.
Right. But
two puffs is alternator. One puff is motor. 3 puff is transmission.
You got to be creative, and sometimes you got to go backwards to get forward.
I guess.
But, let me say this, because we sat outside and we brought a lot of people in. A lot of people were in the fan zone. We had hundreds of people we engaged with. The crowd was erupting.
Yeah.
And I've been to Franklin County Speedway a number of times. I've never heard the crowd cheer as the cars.
And you can hear them. You can hear them over the PA system.
They were. cheering.
You can hear them over the PA system.
Exactly. Well, that's probably better. That's why
we will cut them off from now on to hear the fan.
But they're throwing their fingers forward. Race. They're screaming. They're yelling.
Yeah.
When Bobby wrecked, I saw so many people raise their hands, and grab the top of their head.
Well, it's Bobby. It's just 3 races in a row on the last lap, and that he's had a chance to win and finish in the top 3, and something's happened to him. Like he's got a little.
But they love him.
Oh yeah, they do up there.
But they loved you last night, and Franklin County is a fickle place.
Oh yeah.
They will throw some stuff.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Maybe even a Coke can as entertainment. Or a Dr. Pepper. But, it was a really good product last night. And ladies and gentlemen, you listen to this podcast, we talk about the Smart Series, we talk about our drivers, we talk about, and this is a Hermie free episode. And we talk about the racing, which is really so much important to us. But you got to come out to the Smart Series. You got to come see the modified.
And we got a close one coming, June 23rd at Ace.
And if you're in Southern Virginia, wherever
it's
you are
right
near
there.
the North Carolina border, you can go across and make it happen. And you've got 2 Virginia cars running.
Friday night, Ace, June 23rd. It's going to be all of the heroes. Was a Robert Jeffries Memorial.
There you go.
Lee Jeffries, his son, is racing for one of the first times in the tour since he's come back. It's going to be great. I mean, you're going to see some of the same guys. You know, Burt got his name Ace because he won so many there, but the last couple trips has been Jonathan Brown's been extremely good, and Tim Brown, who had the car to beat.
And you love that guy.
Yeah. and it's going to be so good. It's going to be so good.
Yeah. Well, it was great seeing Jonathan Brown and the old crew that we had. It was great. I mean, I'm telling you, the experience. We've been to a lot of tracks. We've had a lot of experiences with the Fan Zone, which was a huge success. I mean, really saying thank you to our sponsor, Pace-O-Matic, and Pace-O-Matic has been amazing.
Yeah,
I mean, this series.
We're actually coming up on the extension or non-extension, so. Really looking forward to those conversations. I mean, I know you guys.
Well, and I think now, even with the Fan Zone, we're explaining what skill games are to the people that are going to play them. I had so many people either say they play them, but they didn't know the difference between skill game and a game of chance or a video game terminal.
Absolutely.
The things that Hermie and I fight about in courts of law to make sure that people are treated fairly and small business can participate. And here they were being educated on it, and they were very responsive to it.
Well, I think
and they wanted to go find where that Queen skill game was.
I think one of the cool things is you was educating them, you know, not only telling them where they can play and how the game is played, where you can, but also just a communication for them to follow not only our lawsuit and everything, and it's just
and how Virginia needs skill games, especially our small business.
100%.
And they were totally receptive. We had over 200 people sign up and wanting email updates to find out what was going on and wanted to communicate and support skill games in Virginia, whether it's by lawsuit or legislation. And we're going to make that Fan Zone that you and I created with great effort by Colin, my son. We're going to bring that to every Virginia track.
Absolutely, man. We got Motor Mile coming up.
A lot of money.
It is. Lonesome Pines coming up in September, and
dude, we could have given away every dang shirt we had.
Oh, absolutely.
If we hadn't.
Well, you know who the first person that actually hit the hole in the cornhole?
I do remember.
It was me.
It was you. It was you. You demanded 2 shirts or something like that. Like you're special.
Yeah. I'm special. Okay.
But look, great race, great time, and thank you for co-hosting these segments. We're going to come back. We're going to get the vision through a child's eyes of what racing is, what it is at the local level, the grassroots level, but what it means to them and how we get them interested.
We got to educate them. We got to get them excited about what we're doing.
That's what's going to sustain the sport.
It's our future.
Absolutely.
And we've got the grassroots is on a roll. It's on a gain. It's on an uphill climb. And you're not going to do it without that younger generation from 9, 8 years old to 25. How do they get excited about it? And they were in full force last night. That's for sure.
And they want to come back to the next one.
Absolutely. That's even better.
It's going to cost me a lot of money, but I'm going to do it. It's for you, Chris.
I know it is.
Series,
I appreciate it.
But let me tell you, as we close here, what you do for the Smart Series, what you've done in bringing the Smart Series forward, and what you're doing for the rural tracks, the rural areas, the areas around those tracks, the small businesses with the skill games in Virginia, educating people. I mean, I think it was the trifecta. We hit all the marks last night, and you put on a great product. You really did, no matter what anybody on my team says.
Yeah. Well, you and Bert's team's the only one that had a negative impact last night.
It was great.
It was great. No,
it was awesome.
No, I mean, the thing that we are elevating the history. We're elevating, just the modifieds. We are elevating. Yeah. The tracks that we run at.
You and the Cars Tour are really bringing short tracks back.
We're changing what's going on in the grassroots world in these 2 series right now. They're running parallel together.
It's not on somebody's tablet unless you watch Flow. It's not on your phone. It's on social media. It's going out there, smelling the fumes, hearing the roar, feeling the rubber.
Oh, yeah. You'd be surprised how many people came up to me when I was out there at the Fan Zone and when I was on the beginning of the podcast, and they were just thanking me for giving them opportunity to see the modifieds again because they thought they were gone. They thought they were done in the South. Only Bowman Gray was the only one doing anything. Yeah. And now they're like, man, this is what it's all about. It's not it's the same station racetrack every week. You're out there, high bank one week, flat track next week,
historic
half
track
mile
every week.
Yeah, and then you're going to the Hickories and the Callaways, and you're going to the South Bostons, and then we're adding the Lonesome Pines and the Carterettes and all these other new tracks, and it's just fun, man.
It's so exciting to be your lawyer for the series.
It's fun, man.
And an owner, even though we're going to have a meeting on Monday or Tuesday because it's holiday. What happened to Franklin County at the Sadler Stanley race team? But it was still great racing to watch, and then really great to watch Bobby and Ryan run.
Yeah, can you get them in the room together and video the call so I can just watch it?
No. No.
Well, Hermie will be leading it, so you'll just be back there.
Then that's a hard no.
I want to see what Hermie. I can see Hermie now.
We'll see
Ryan. What was you thinking?
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to end this show right there. Hermie, we miss you, baby.
You should have been there.
Yeah. But he was watching on flow, but he couldn't hear anything.
Well, the best thing that happened for him is we didn't get that on the last lap.
Correct.
So he's only going to hear it. So somebody told me this morning, if it ain't seen, it ain't real.
And it wasn't on the
flow. So did it really happen? Oh yeah, it happened.
In our hearts and minds, it did. But Hermie's out there rooting on his daughter, who's in the Super Regionals for Division III softball. She's an amazing talent, an amazing family.
Must have took after her uncle.
Yeah,
Elliot.
Obviously not her. But they're winning, and she's like an all-American.
I know.
And so he's out there, and God bless him for saying, look, family comes first.
It does, 100%.
And he made the promise to his kids. He's never going to miss a game. And
look at Jimmy Wallace last night. He's raced every race since the start return, and he called me, and he said, I got to tell you, I'm not coming. My daughter's graduating. I said, family first, but I've been living it all my life. Do it. But
that ties back into what Dillner was just talking about.
Yeah.
How family is the foundation, the cornerstone.
Absolutely.
Is racing. Racing is family, and that's America. And that's why this is the greatest country in the world, and we thank and honor those who gave their lives so that we could remain free. And the Kenny Minter Classic is one in the books to honor them. But also, I have more faith in America when I leave a racetrack after something like that.
Yeah.
When I see all the people, when I see the people participating, the regular Joes out there bringing their cars, working on them after they work a 50-hour work week. They're in there in the garage, and your staff, and everybody there, and everybody with our staff at Sadler Stanley Racing. I mean, this is what America is all about.
Absolutely.
And so I want everybody to, as they hear this, it'll be earlier in the week and after Memorial Day, but every day should be a day when we honor our fallen soldiers and those that sacrifice for us so that we can live this great life and race another day. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank my guest host, Chris Williams, the poor man's Bill France, the owner of the Smart Tour, a good friend of mine, and thanks for sticking in here with me all through. We're going to do one more segment. But we're going to sign off here because I think we're going to interview these great fans.
Absolutely.
And get their honest perspective on what happened last night and where we move forward from here. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Virginia State Senator Bill Stanley, and I'm leaning right. And I'm Fox analyst Hermie Sadler, and I ain't here. So turning left is with my man, Chris Williams.
Yeah, that's right. And we always turning left.
And we're sitting here at the Redneck Aquatic Center at the Stanley Farm as it begins to rain on Memorial Day weekend. We'll be right back to close this thing out. Thank you, gentlemen.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson with SaveWithConrad.com. You've heard me bragging on the podcast for years about helping people save money on their current house, but did you know that I can help you with your next house as well? That's right, we can get you into your next house with zero down. No money down loan programs are still available, and I know it sounds too good to be true, but we can do it for you. And by the way, home ownership is more affordable than you might think. We routinely turn renters into homeowners, and we hear back that their new house payment is more affordable than what they were paying in rent. Why would you keep doing that? Stop throwing your money away, paying for someone else's mortgage, and start building wealth for your family. And let my family help at SaveWithConrad.com. You don't need perfect credit to do this. We can improve credit scores down to the 500s, and it's worth mentioning, we never say no. We say not yet, but here's how. You need a game plan to buy a house, and that's where we come in at SaveWithConrad.com. We'll ask you, what down payment do you want to make? And zero is an acceptable answer. And what monthly payment do you want? And then it's time to go shopping. Find out how easy it is and how affordable it is to become a homeowner at SaveWithConrad.com.
And we're back. I'm Virginia State Senator Bill Stanley, and I'm with Chris Williams in segment 3, and we've brought some fans
Heavy
of
hitters.
the Smart Tour who are going to give us their perspective, and especially the most important perspective, because, you know, Dillner and you and I in the earlier segment were talking about how important families are in racing, and how important actually at the grassroots level,
Yes.
having children there watching, getting excited, being a part of that open wheel modified experience with the Smart Tour
Raising them right.
is what's going to make this happen. So we have a blue ribbon panel here. We have some of the finest 5th grade graduates that Glade Hill Elementary has ever produced.
Did y'all graduate? Okay, just check.
You know, one of them was left behind, but we're not going to get into that. Someone's coming back to Glade Hill next year, right? Is that right?
No.
Okay. Remember what I said about the microphone. It's not an ice cream. You got to hold it up to your face. Come on, Coop. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce 3 gentlemen that I've spent the past 24 hours with.
God bless you.
My son Chandler Stanley, who loves racing.
Little Timmy.
Little Timmy. I talked to all of them about it. I said, look, I haven't asked your permission to your parents to put your real name on here. And his parents here, and he says, my name's Little Timmy. I mean, you had permission from your parents, Chandler.
I was just joking about that. I always joke about little Timmy.
Always joking. That's my man. And then we got his 2 friends that spent the night here at the Stanley Farm,
Which is shocking.
After the Smart Series race, which they were all into and loving it, wearing the merch. To my right is a young man. You want to say hi, Philip?
Hi.
Okay, is that it? This is Philip, his friend, who was there last night wearing some Bobby Labonte merch right now, a hat. And then to my other left is Cooper.
Hello.
Yeah, Cooper's going to be something here on this podcast. I can feel that. But
Yeah.
These 3 guys came back last night, all jacked from the race. And we want to talk to you about this perspective of what you saw last night. So we'll start with you, Cooper. I mean, you're the guest there. You're wearing the SS merch. You're wearing the Labonte merch. You're sitting here outside. We are outside at the Redneck Aquatic Center, the above-ground pool at the Stanley Farm, hanging out with these guys on the Saturday of Memorial Day before the rain comes. And we figured we'd want your perspective. What did you think about it last night, Cooper?
It was fun. And it was cool to see how fast they were going around that little track. Because most of the time, like in NASCAR, they wouldn't run. I feel like they wouldn't run half as fast as that.
Yeah. Didn't they look fast? I mean, faster than what you see on TV.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Especially being right there up against the fence, looking at that stuff like you were all night. And those open wheel modifieds, they make that great sound, don't they? What'd you think of that?
My ears were ringing a little bit after I left, and then
Did you supply the kids with ear?
yeah,
I offered.
And you had some? Oh, you didn't wear them?
No, he didn't.
I didn't wear them. I don't like them.
Yeah, that's a mistake.
I offered them. All right, I want to make sure
Good
every
job, Senator.
parent.
That's good.
I offered them.
I'm just checking.
I offered them, and they're like, no. They
Okay.
said no.
All right. They want it to full effect. I understand.
Yeah. Now
get
I
it.
know you were rooting for Bobby Labonte and Ryan Newman. What was your perspective on the last lap of the race when it looked like that perhaps Bobby Labonte and Ryan Newman got into it?
No. I don't think Bobby got into it. From my perspective, it looked like
Right.
New and Maya got into the back of Bobby. Okay.
So wait. I'm asking Cooper first, and then we'll get to you, hon.
Hold on, little Timmy.
Yeah, little Timmy's got some analysis. Coop, what do you think of that? You saw it. We were all looking at the same car.
Yeah, it was. Oh, we were like throwing a Coke can around and stuff, and I look over, and then all the cars are just stopped out in the middle of the track.
Yeah.
And Bobby Labonte was up against the wall, and then Chandler throws his hands up.
Yeah, he's a big
Yeah.
Labonte fan.
Yeah, it's a bad day for little Timmy.
Little Timmy, what is your perspective? Grab that mic and let us hear your analysis, because you're a big fan of Bobby Labonte. We're going in the last lap of the race. We're here at Franklin County Speedway. It's been fast all night. Our cars with Sadler Stanley Racing, We were third and fourth going in. It looked like we couldn't win the race, but we were fighting for position. What did you see? What did you think?
Yeah, we were throwing around a can, and then, I looked at the corner of my eye, and the caution went out, and then I saw Bobby swing up across to the field, and then they stopped the field when they got him off the track, and I was like, why? There's another car, but I didn't know what car because I didn't look at the field. Today, when I figured out it was both of them, I was pretty upset because those are both of our drivers.
Right.
And I want them to have a great car and run for first. And they just both got wrecked. I was kind of weirded out with that Ryan hit Bobby.
Yeah.
What you guys were telling me.
It's still under review, but that's a possibility. What I was telling you?
Yeah.
No, I was telling you the number 2 car did it.
You were telling me. No,
that was Brandon Moore.
You switched that.
Finally comes out in the podcast.
Hey,
I love
listen.
Sing it, little Timmy.
If you want breakfast for the next 5 days, you better say it was the number 2 car.
Well, you said after Chris said that.
You're putting your mama's words in my mouth.
No. Chris said it, and then you said it.
All right, let's go to Philip. Philip.
You're done, little Timmy.
How dare you?
Get inside, boy. So, Philip, is that the first open wheel modified race you've ever been to?
Yes.
What'd you think about it? I mean, you get those sleek cars with the big tires, and they make that big noise, and they roll around there with 600 horsepower. What'd you think about it?
I thought it was cooler than a NASCAR race because you had modified cars which look much cooler.
Yeah.
And
agreed.
Sound much better.
Yeah. What else do you like about it?
I liked how you're always close to the fence.
Yeah. And actually, there are 2 lines there in Franklin County Speedway. It's an old track, but you can ride the inside line and you can ride the outside line. And it was fun to watch both all night. It was 2x2 racing.
And if you're Bobby Labonte, you can run the third line, which is the one where you get spun out and you're at the bottom of the track.
Did you see the spin out?
No.
You were throwing the Coke can?
Yeah.
Well, hey. Well, I'm glad I paid the money to get you guys in. That was worth it. Yeah. I mean, didn't you watch the race?
Yes, I did.
Okay. It was just Coke can time.
So who was you really rooting for?
Bobby.
Okay.
Sorry.
How about you? How about you, Copper?
Copper. Yeah, Copper.
Well, what's your Cooper? What's your?
The Cooper's about to hear himself because I put the
So who would you root
for the first time? So
Bobby Labonte.
So how much did little Timmy pay y'all to root for him?
He's a big fan.
I know, he's a big fan.
He didn't pay us anything.
Okay, I just checking.
Oh, here comes
little Timmy.
All right, little Timmy.
Why would you think I would pay in them?
Because you're a Stanley. That's how we get votes and support and things.
Well, I'm not going to make them pay me.
You don't make
a dollar.
You're supposed to pay
trust
them.
Me. The older you get,
pay them.
Going to pay.
Yeah.
I'm not going to pay
It's just
them.
a matter of time.
Why not?
I paid them in a Coke can.
You
That's even better.
You need to learn that this is a dog eat dog world, and we're wearing milk bone underwear right now.
I'm sorry, their own opinions are, and you're trying to blame them on me.
Yeah, well, you don't
because I really like Bobby.
You didn't influence the Bobby Labonte fan club here that's sitting here in Bobby Labonte merch.
Well, I'm sorry, Bobby's been. Even though when Bobby was not on our team, I would wear his merch to the races.
I think you would wear 18 interstate battery stuff too, wouldn't you?
No, he was wearing nothing but the 25 merch last year. The cookout merch.
Oh, yeah, that's okay.
I remember when
it wasn't okay, because I owned a competing team, and we would be out there at racetracks, and he's rooting for the enemy.
This is. Wait a second.
To save myself money, I brought Bobby to our team, so at least he was wearing stuff that it looked like where it came from us.
So the only reason you hired Bobby was to satisfy your son and to save money. I got it.
Save money and make him happy.
Okay,
right? Save money first. No, but Bobby, when Bobby came over, I mean, we had been sitting camping next to each other and just enjoy he and Kristen so much, and that we were at Wilkesboro, and we were having a
great event. Yes, you were with me,
and we were having such a good time. And he was saying, "You guys having so much fun," and we're like, "We're having fun here." And we just he started hitting my shoulder, go, "Hey, why don't I run for you?" And that started a great thing.
And now his teammate Rex even. So that's a great move for him.
But it saves my wallet. Let's not worry about the wrecking.
He's changing subject. Little Timmy, don't let him change subject.
Philip, if you had a race team and you had a son that was buying your competitor's merch, wouldn't you try to hire their competitor? Does that sound right?
No.
Oh, yeah.
See, so I'm smart, right?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. I appreciate that. Coop, what did you think of the race last night when you weren't throwing the can around?
It was a lot of fun because my dad got me popcorn.
Yeah.
That's the important things in life. There's popcorn, little drink.
Popcorn. All right.
Do you have anything else?
Popcorn.
Hot
What else
dog
did
or
you like?
anything?
Yeah, I had a hot dog.
Yeah, that was a hot
The
dog.
food was amazing.
There you go.
Did you go to the barbecue joint? That's Brady. Right?
Brandy's great food.
Yeah. And then they had that right there on the track. We were just down the way. We were in the fan zone. You guys were a part of the fan zone. We had the Smart Series Sadler Stanley Racing fan zone honoring Pace-O-Matic last night. Did you get to play a skill game? No, of course not, because you're not 18. You can't play a skill game unless you're an adult.
But did he win a T-shirt?
Did you get a T-shirt?
Yeah, I got a hoodie.
Well, there you go.
There you go. So, hey.
He's wearing it right now.
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly.
So you liked the race. What did you like the most about it? I mean, had you been to a race before? Let's start there.
Well, last year, Chandler told me the races were on Flow Racing, so I watched one of those.
Good.
Great product placement there, too.
He's pumping our Pace-O-Matic.
Yeah.
He's pumping our Flow. Man, he needs a job. He could replace JB right now.
Car chief.
Exactly.
That was the only race I had been to in person. But I was shocked.
TV at Flow.
Yeah, I was shocked because I didn't realize how short the what is it? The
Flag guy is?
the
Yeah,
stages were.
Yes.
I didn't realize how short they were.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Chris, tell them why you do that. I mean, so the race is like 110 laps. They don't put gas in the car. They change one tire.
Yeah.
Why do we make those stops?
To really add something to the competitors, because in the beginning, the competitors, run flat out, full bore, and those guys in the back didn't really, have much of an initiative to go to the front. Or now, if you want to save that tire, then people may choose in the 8th to 16th place to go try to earn that extra money. And plus, it was a very good opportunity to plug our sponsors in the series to have on the TV stage. Absolutely. And so we did it. It's actually turned out extremely well for us. We normally run 99 laps, but because it was Kenny Minner's memorial race, his number was 10, so we run 110, which is our longest race of the year, other than what we, have
and
put on.
it went by fast. It was an hour.
Yeah, hour and 38 minutes. It was really good with 2 red flags, so it went by quick. The cars are really fast there.
What was your favorite part? What did you like the most, besides the throwing the can and the popcorn? Or were you the popcorn guy?
No, he was popcorn.
All right, he was the popcorn guy. Okay.
I like sitting in the Smart Tour ride-along car.
Yeah.
That was really cool.
Yeah, you guys, and we got a story to get to here in a minute about that, but you guys spent a little time. We brought the ride-along car.
Yes.
Which is the Pace-O-Matic ride-along car. We put it right next to the fan zone.
Yes.
And I mean, I saw hundreds of people taking pictures.
Fan zone was a big hit.
And got the pictures taken. You guys were all up in that stuff. So were you right there, little Timmy?
Yeah. I'm not little Timmy.
Well, you said
I'm Chandler. I'm Chandler.
Okay. Now, he's ripped off the mask.
And I think we should talk about that incident with the car now.
Yeah, but I agree.
Get it done with.
But what was your favorite part of the race besides throwing the can? The Coke can around like it was a football. And next time I will bring a football to these damn events I'm sorry. Don't tell your mom or dad I did.
I don't really know. I like the whole race except
race fan.
Really?
You watch this stuff intensely.
I like the whole race except the wreck. That's all. That's the only part I didn't like. The wreck.
So and that's the wrecks. And didn't we get wrecked more than once? Our team did. I mean,
yeah. Bobby got bumped and shoved out.
Yeah, and did you hear when your dad was screaming, "My wallet's on fire"? Did you know what I meant by that?
When Neiman
I didn't hear that. We were probably throwing a Coke can.
Check for that wrecked property. So Philip, let me ask you the most important question of something that we had a discussion about a little bit earlier about the ambiance and the flow and the feel of Franklin County Speedway. Chris Williams and I talked about that in the earlier segment. The most important question is what did you think about the Elvis guy on a lawnmower?
He loved him.
Behind him in barrels with little play driving wheels. Did you get on the train?
He wanted to.
Got on the train.
Philip, you always seem to avoid everything, don't you? You always seem to be in the perfect position.
He don't take
not putting
chances.
yourself in trouble.
He doesn't take chances.
But did you see the Elvis in the black Aztec jumpsuit with the Elvis hair driving the lawnmower with the kids riding behind.
Yeah, I gave him a high five.
You high-fived old Elvis.
He was TCK.
Do you know who Elvis is?
Yes.
Elvis Presley?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. You got good parents. See,
I like it. I like
But
his
you
parents
never
right
got
now.
on the train.
Never got on the train.
Okay. Did any of you get on the train?
No. Cooper asked my mom.
And Laura said no. That's called TCK, taking care of kids.
Timothy.
There was some liability
Exactly.
potential there.
Timothy said, it's not the real Elvis because he's too fat.
You never saw Elvis right near the end. He was pretty big.
And then
You might be right.
he was trying to warn us for a snake in a hole.
Oh, is that right?
And a kid was digging in it.
Wow. Little Timmy on the job.
Yeah.
It's not little Timmy.
So we've got to close out here because we've done 15 minutes already, and this is really exciting and interesting. But this is the real question. Last night, Chris, you'd put the ride-along car, the Smart Series ride-along car.
I did.
Up in the fan zone. It got a huge response like we just talked about. And then I was coming up there right after the race, and there had been a kid that had been in the car for a while. And now these three gentlemen were in and around the car with their friend Timothy. And suddenly there was this little kid, 10 years old, giving them the business and using swear words I've not even heard out of my wife's mouth. So which one of you wants to lead off? What happened and how did it result that you almost got your butt beat by a bully, a 10-year-old bully?
Well, first of all,
Don't hold back, Coop.
we were sitting in the car and he walks up and he's like, "What?"
Yeah.
No.
Put it a little closer to your mouth. Keep talking. Oh, he can hear himself. So
Okay.
So then what happened? You guys are sitting in the car. What happens?
He said, "Get your A words out the car," and I'm like, "What?"
And then what happened?
And then I whispered to him, say you own the car. And then he said that to him, and he's like, I know I own your A word. And then Cooper's like, chill. And then he wraps around to my side and starts cussing me out.
Leaning into the car window.
And then you come by and you.
Well, wait. Before we get there, where was Philip?
Philip was in the bathroom.
Philip had feet don't fail me now. He had to go. This is their problem, not my problem.
He was trying to hide.
Philip, what was your perspective there?
I walked out, and then I walked back to the car, and Cooper and Chandler are like, "You won't believe what just happened."
So you missed the whole thing
Yeah.
because you had to
Use the
take care of
bathroom.
business,
Had to go.
just like Elvis.
I think that's why Elvis stopped doing the thing for a
He had
little
the
bit.
TCB.
He had to do it.
I'm sure you're riding that lawnmower for about 5 hours with kids. You got to go. I mean, so
Didn't the kid want?
here's my perspective, okay? So I come up on this car, I heard what was coming out of a young person's mouth, some words that I'd not heard before. So I, turned around real quick. I was close to the track, and I started looking and I see these three guys in here, and I'm thinking, did one of my boys, one of our three compadres here, did they say a bad word? 'Cause I was gonna, and there is this kid who was, big boned.
Big bone. I was straight up. I heard he was fat. Is that true or not?
Well,
I'm just asking the question. That's heard through the grapevine.
Pretty
I
big.
said, what's going on here? And he had his head leaned in, and little Timmy was in the passenger side. And he said, these guys are giving me S, and I'm not going to take that from these A-holes. And I said, boy, how old are you? And he said, 10. And I mean, just 10. Like, what's it to you, old man? And I said, 10. I said, you kiss your mom with that potty mouth? He said, I don't really understand what you said. And I said, get away from the car. Get away from the car. He's like, I'm going to take these guys, and I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And I'm like, no, you ain't. Get out of here. And then he came back. And unfortunately, these boys heard me say, get out of here, fat boy.
No, we heard when you walked past the car, and we fist bumped you after it, me and Cooper.
After
you
I
said,
butts from
you said,
danger.
bro, that kid's a potty mouth fat boy. And we started laughing.
I might have said that too.
You did say that. You said that.
Sounds like communication from driver to car owner there. I mean, that kid's
There was no mic.
good in Franklin County in about 5 years.
When you're at a racetrack and you see somebody reaching in the car, you know something's about to happen. And the funny thing was, is I could see from the back window to the front, Chandler was kind of hunched down, but Cooper's giving this boy the business. I mean, he is just mouthing.
You own him,
He's
Cooper?
like, yeah, you think so? You ain't doing that. No, you ain't. And he's up in there because he's in the driver's seat at least 4.5 foot away.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, man.
Cooper, I want to thank you from the Smart Modified Tour of helping us, get the kid out of the car and sending protecting the car and the safety of the car. I appreciate that.
Your mouth saved that $50,000 car.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
You're welcome.
Watch, he's going to ask for payment next. He
Yeah.
does it every time. What do you want for it?
A Smart Tour ride-along car.
There.
I'll give you a ride in it.
You want to ride in it?
You wanna
No, I
ride
want
on
to
it?
have it.
Oh, no. No, we have a huge issue here.
Yeah, we do. I told you, he starts out high, though. He's going to be a good lawyer because he asked for the moon and hopes for the stars. So, all right, gentlemen, I mean, so in the end, the loudmouth fat dude did not get his way. We had a great time, did we not?
We had a
Listen,
great-
I can tell you the best thing y'all did. The can. Did y'all save the can or just leave it laying?
No, it crunched up and it was cutting Philip 2 times.
Get injured?
He got injured.
Hey, Philip, do you mind signing a waiver before you leave today? I know this is the end of this.
Yeah, if your parents see this, my dad's going to get in trouble.
Any liability that we might have had.
That's going to be a problem.
Cocaine. You don't mind, do you?
Man, so
Good. Can you say that again in the microphone?
I don't mind.
Okay, great. So we're good. We're good.
And then my dad takes the can.
Oh, did he? So he
Yeah.
took over? Okay.
I grabbed it from Philip. I was going to throw it away, and he said, "Give me that. I'm going to throw it away."
Good. So, gentlemen, a last question before we depart here in this segment. What do you think of the Smart Series, the Southern Modified Auto Racing Teams Tour Series? What do you think of this race? What do you think of that racetrack? Give us our final thoughts.
Way better than NASCAR.
Yeah, same with me because I thought those cars would. Because I like how they're modified and they're like completely different than a normal car. NASCAR is just a car that's made to go fast.
Yeah, but these things have personality, don't they? And they look great and they sound great. Did you like the sound? So before we got on here, my dad, Chris had asked if they had ear plugs during the race, and I offered them to them, but they all declined to take them. What did you think, my friend? What do you think of the Smart Tour? Would you come back to something like this?
I would love to come back to another race.
Are you asking for free tickets? Is that what you're trying to do right now?
No.
Well, no. The guy to your right there, Chris Williams, he's the owner. He can
take
provide
care of it. You know
Make it
somebody
happen.
now.
Yeah. So did you like the race? I mean, that's your first race. What'd you think? You loved it?
I liked it way better than NASCAR.
Yeah.
And it was just all around really fun.
Thanks, Philip.
Awesome.
And we appreciate it. Look, and you got to tell your friends, get more of your friends out there because, we really got to get the young people involved, interested, and engaged.
That's right.
In grassroots
You got to
racing.
grow up in it.
Mm-hmm. And hopefully one day we can see you maybe out on the track, either driving that car or because we gave you a ticket and you're coming out to watch again. But as we close, Philip, what do you want to do when you grow up?
I would like to be a basketball player.
Yes.
Sweet.
Good.
Right. Pro
Awesome.
basketball player.
Yes.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Cooper, what about you? Besides being a wise guy, what do you want to be?
An MLB player.
Major League Baseball player. Okay, so we got 2 athletes. Little Timmy.
I'm not little Timmy. I would want to be a basketball player or a NASCAR driver.
Okay.
And my favorite time in the Smart Tour is when I went in the ride-along car with Bobby when he was not on our team.
And that was a couple of years ago, wasn't it? That's right. See, you see what you make me do? Chris, when you grow up, what do you want to be?
Bill Stanley.
Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this. We got to get them back to their parents. But we thought we'd bring you the young perspective on the Smart Series, on the Franklin County race, what they saw, what they liked, and how they almost got their butts beat until Bill Stanley, state senator, went there and saved them from the foul-mouthed fat kid.
And appreciate y'all for supporting us.
Oh, and by the way, Chris, so when they were leaving, or the kid kicked a full can of Dr. Pepper at my wife and the kids.
Did Laura get wet?
Yes, she actually got sprayed. So, so it
What
sounds
kid
like
was it?
that kid's going to be a client of mine in about maybe 5 years.
Yeah,
So-
every bit of it.
6 years tops. So, thank you guys. We had a great time with you at the racetrack. Want you to come back as soon as you possibly can. Need your parents to sign the consent form so we can actually play this on the podcast. But we really loved having you there. Loved watching you see the energy there. Next time we'll bring a football and not a Coke can. All right.
Enjoy it. Appreciate it.
So come on back real soon, especially at the family farm. These guys stayed up. These guys rocked. They came back from the race. They stayed up and raced on race rigs down in the basement until what, 4 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah,
From what I heard.
Who was the first one to go to sleep?
Me.
Philip.
Philip.
4:30. And but you know what? Good for you. You're the responsible one that's actually going to help these guys as they grow into high school and college. You know what I mean?
Trust me, you're the designated friend.
Exactly.
I can see it coming.
Exactly.
The most responsible.
Cooper, Philip, little Timmy. We love having you.
I'm not little Timmy. Can you stop calling me that? I'm your son.
We love having you on Leaning Right and Turning Left with Sadler and the Senator. You guys have a great week. God bless you all.
Appreciate it.